Chapter 1190. Roar. However, before he could stabilize his body, the ferocious head of the large yellow lightning tortoise suddenly appeared in the sky. Chila. An even more resplendent and destructive yellow lightning energy erupted from Du Xiaofu's body from the mouth of the giant lightning tortoise. Your body is very strange. I feel that it is even more beneficial to me than the two spirit lightnings. The heavens are really helping me. The giant lightning tortoise roared. The resplendent and destructive yellow lightning had already arrived in front of Du Xiaofu in an instant. Do you really think that I am easy to devour? Du Xiaofu was also enraged. As he roared, although his body had not stabilized, a purple gold flowing light had already shot out from his palm. In an instant, it transformed into a huge three-legged cauldron that covered the vast space. Boom! In an instant, the lightning space violently trembled as purple-gold thunderclouds gathered out of thin air. As lightning flashed and thunder roared, a large patch of purple-gold lightning hovered in the sky with an aura of destruction. Qilang, large patches of purple-gold lightning wreaked havoc, as if countless bombs had exploded in the void of this deep pit. At this moment, Du Xiaofu had no other choice but to activate his final trump card, the Purple Lightning Profound Cauldron. The purple gold profound lightning was like the king of lightning. The pressure that emanated from the purple gold profound lightning was not something that ordinary spirit lightnings could compare to. In an instant, the purple gold profound lightning surged out from the purple lightning profound cauldron, transforming into a huge purple gold lightning vortex that directly swallowed the yellow lightning that was rushing towards Du Xiaofu. The resplendent yellow lightning was very powerful and violent. At this moment, even Du Xiaofu, who had activated his lightning martial vein, could not suppress it. However, at this moment, the resplendent yellow lightning energy was directly absorbed into the purple gold profound lightning vortex below the purple lightning profound cauldron. This did not mean that Du Xiaofu's lightning martial vein was inferior to the purple lightning profound cauldron. Instead, it was because Du Xiaofu's strength was not enough. The power of the lightning martial vein was far from the level that it should be. Of course, with Du Xiaofu's current strength, the power of the purple lightning profound cauldron could not reach the level that it should be. However, the purple lightning profound cauldron was able to directly absorb the yellow lightning energy. With the help of the purple lightning profound cauldron, the lightning profound lightning, and profound lightning profound purple lightning, could directly devour the yellow lightning. At this moment, the giant lightning tortoise seemed to have sensed something as well. Its ferocious eyes rippled, and its huge body rippled violently, causing bright yellow lightning to overflow in all directions in this vast space. Lightning runes rippled in the air, as if they had turned into a resplendent yellow lightning pool. Keep! Seeing that the purple lightning profound cauldron had already taken effect, Du Xiaofu fully activated the purple lightning profound cauldron. The purple gold lightning vortex was like a terrifying purple gold black hole, swallowing and spitting out a huge suction force that directly pulled the yellow lightning into the purple lightning profound cauldron. Walala! The resplendent yellow lightning pool seemed to be pulled by some invisible force and uncontrollably rushed towards the purple lightning profound cauldron. The violent and destructive yellow lightning disappeared the moment it came into contact with the purple gold profound lightning vortex. It immediately disappeared into the purple lightning profound cauldron. Rumble! The void trembled violently. It was so deafening that it caused pain in one's eardrums and made one's mind dizzy. Countless yellow lightning bolts flashed. The huge yellow lightning bolts danced wildly and rushed towards the purple lightning profound cauldron. At this moment, the purple lightning profound cauldron was like a bottomless pit. It pulled the yellow lightning in and did not move at all. What is that? This change caused the giant lightning tortoise's eyes to be filled with fear. The huge lightning tortoise's body moved horizontally and exploded with huge yellow lightning bolts that covered the sky. It was like a heavenly thunder erupting, pressing towards the purple lightning profound cauldron. Devour! Du Xiaofu shouted and poured all the profound qi in his body into the purple lightning profound cauldron. Du Xiaofu fully activated the purple lightning profound cauldron. It was like countless purple-gold spiritual snakes were shuttling through the void. The purple-gold profound lightning vortex continued to devour the violent yellow lightning energy. Rumble. The purple-gold lightning vortex in the purple lightning profound cauldron devoured the violent yellow lightning. Large amounts of purple-gold lightning spread out from the vortex, and a rumbling sound reverberated in the air. At this moment, Du Xiaofu was not feeling well either. Blood kept flowing out of his mouth. The purple lightning profound cauldron exploded and absorbed all the profound qi in his god's watchtower. This consumption was huge. Du Xiaofu had already used up a lot of profound qi. Originally, Du Xiaofu's injuries had not fully recovered and he could not hold on for a while. The lightning tortoise was too strong. The purple-gold profound lightning under the purple lightning profound cauldron was unable to support Du Xiaofu's profound qi, and its power had decreased significantly. Puny human, it turns out that you are not strong enough. The lightning tortoise felt this change. Its fierce eyes shot out lightning and yellow lightning bolts across the sky. It was as if countless bombs had exploded. The destructive power kept attacking the purple lightning profound cauldron. Go all out and give it your all. Du Xiaofu gritted his teeth. He took out a large amount of spiritual herbs and heavenly treasures from his cosmos bag and stuffed them into his mouth. After swallowing the large amount of heavenly treasures and spiritual herbs, Du Xiaofu used the golden winged rock technique to refine them and turn them into profound qi to support the purple lightning profound cauldron. Outside, the lightning tortoise was suppressing him. Inside, the heavenly treasures and spiritual herbs had turned into energy surging. Du Xiaofu did not feel good. If it was an ordinary transcendent martial venerable, he would have been played to death by him. However, Du Xiaofu had already given it his all, but it was still difficult for him to resist the lightning tortoise. Pooh! The earth-shattering yellow lightning bolts pressed down and shattered the void, causing the purple lightning profound cauldron and Du Xiaofu to be pushed back. There are many treasures, but they are still too weak. After I devour you and obtain this treasure, no one in this world will be able to do anything to me. The lightning tortoise roared loudly and thunder pressed down on the sky. It could feel that the three-legged cauldron was also a treasure. The aura on the human's body and the two spiritual thunders seemed to have been prepared for it. Once it obtained it, no one in this world would be able to do anything to it. Du Xiaofu waved his sleeve and wiped the blood from his mouth. The lightning martial veins on his body were attracted by the yellow lightning and were about to erupt. At this moment, Du Xiaofu let out a deep snort and suddenly made a shocking decision. He clenched his teeth slightly, and his body directly soared into the sky and collided with the giant lightning tortoise, allowing himself to be immersed in the monstrous and resplendent yellow lightning. Rumble! Yellow lightning swept up, exploding with the sound of thunder. Under that terrifying force, Du Xiaofu could not help but spit out a mouthful of pale golden blood. The pale golden blood immediately turned into smoke in the lightning, and his body was about to explode into ashes in an instant. However, at this moment, Du Xiaofu's lightning martial veins seemed to have been provoked. An even more punishing pressure swept out. The lightning martial veins contained the supreme power of lightning that could not be provoked. In an instant, it devoured the yellow lightning into its body. The purple thunder profound cauldron seemed to have sensed that Du Xiaofu's qi had been exhausted. It began to break away from Du Xiaofu's control and began to devour the yellow lightning on its own. Du Xiaofu's lightning martial veins were also provoked. The most majestic and domineering killing pressure surged in the sky. The ancient pressure spread out from Du Xiaofu's body. The soul-shaking aura was still spreading in the vast space far away. At this moment, the two types of lightning energy collided. Du Xiaofu's clothes were directly destroyed and he began to be naked. However, his body was wrapped in the bright purple lightning and yellow lightning. He was wrapped in dazzling lightning runes and gradually became a huge lightning ball in the void. At this moment, under the devouring of Du Xiaofu's lightning martial veins and purple thunder profound cauldron, the bright lightning on the lightning giant tortoise's body was finally devoured to a terrifying extent. Fear appeared in the lightning giant tortoise's fierce eyes again. Unknowingly, the lightning giant tortoise found that it had fallen into a situation where it could not escape. What a strange human. How can this be? At that moment, the lightning tortoise seemed to have sensed something. Its gigantic tortoise body began to crumble, and bolts of yellow lightning were devoured uncontrollably. They landed in the three-legged cauldron and the strange human's body. Sizzle! The lightning giant tortoise became smaller and smaller as yellow lightning burst out. However, it could not stop the strange human and the three-legged cauldron from devouring it. Impossible! How can this human suppress me with such little strength? The lightning giant tortoise roared and released a terrifying energy. It wanted to forcefully destroy this space. At this moment, even if there were experts at the peak of the Nirvana realm, once they touched this terrifying destructive lightning, they would be directly destroyed. However, the lightning giant tortoise was unable to break free from the double suppression of the purple thunder profound cauldron and Du Xiaofu's lightning martial veins. The lightning giant tortoise was suppressed by the purple thunder profound cauldron. The purple gold profound cauldron erupted and devoured it crazily. Bang, bang, bang. The lightning giant tortoise began to collapse, and the bright yellow lightning in the vast space around it had been devoured. Human, do you want to devour me? Even the martial domain realm is not enough. You are courting death. Suddenly, an exceptionally bright yellow lightning flashed out of the shattered lightning tortoise's body. It actually broke free from the purple gold profound bomb's binding and devouring. With an incomparably terrifying speed, it directly appeared in the bright lightning ball that surrounded Du Xiaofu's body. Swoosh! The brightest yellow lightning burst out with the most destructive and violent aura. After it entered the lightning ball, it broke free from the binding of Du Xiaofu's lightning martial veins and went straight into Du Xiaofu's glabella. At this moment, the bright yellow lightning entered Du Xiaofu's glabella. Qi-La, a monstrous aura that could destroy one's primordial spirit, swept out in Du Xiaofu's mind and attacked Du Xiaofu's entire body. A thunderous roar resounded in Du Xiaofu's mind. Puny human, you are courting death. I will destroy your primordial spirit and I will be you. Everything will be mine. Walala! Suddenly, the Naiwan palace in Du Xiaofu's mind seemed to have sensed this wild and violent destructive energy. A dazzling symbol rune flickered as it emitted an ancient and mysterious aura. In an instant, it transformed into waves of frightening energy that directly covered the resplendent yellow lightning. Roar! The bright yellow lightning burst out and turned into a ferocious lightning tortoise's head. It wanted to break free from the talisman rune's cover. Boom! The dazzling talisman rune emitted a bright divine light and a supreme aura spread. It wanted to suppress the world and destroy everything that came in from the outside. Roar! The lightning tortoise roared and released a terrifying aura to resist the cover of the dazzling talisman rune. The two of them were in a deadlock. Chapter 1191. The lightning turtle was the soul seed of the yellow lightning spirit lightning, and the dazzling talisman was the spirit root that existed in Du Xiaofu's mind. Du Xiaofu still remembered that the last time the silver-net soul-devouring lightning spirit root entered his mind, it was immediately suppressed and eventually destroyed by the spirit root. However, it was different this time. This spirit lightning spirit root was far more powerful than the silver-net soul-devouring lightning spirit root. The spirit root could temporarily suppress it, but in the end, it could only remain in a stalemate and could not destroy the spirit lightning spirit root. Exhausted, his body was extremely weak. The terrifying destructive power of the lightning was still attacking his body, making Du Xiaofu suffer unspeakably. While the spirit root and the lightning turtle in Du Xiaofu's Naiwan palace were in a stalemate, the lightning and thunder in the vast sealed space gradually disappeared. The shocking destructive aura dissipated, and everything seemed to have returned to its original state. Even in this vast underground space, the purple thunder profound cauldron had calmed down after swallowing the yellow lightning in this space. Then, the purple thunder profound cauldron floated beside Du Xiaofu without releasing any aura. Could it be that the terrifying thing is unwilling to give up and wants to break through the talisman array again? Outside the deep pit, the terrifying commotion also shook the talisman array outside, attracting several hidden auras to spy on it. I heard them say that the demon king, Du Xiaofu, escaped into the talisman array by himself. It's probably destroyed by the terrifying thing. It's a pity that the Qianyang subduing dragon technique is not real. Another voice was transmitted over and quietly landed. However, the voice did not spread and could only be heard by the few people who had arrived with concealed auras. That terrifying thing has become more and more violent recently. I don't know how long this talisman array can trap it. It's getting stronger and stronger, and it's getting more and more impossible to merge with it. Someone sighed. It's no longer a question of whether or not we can merge with it. That terrifying thing has been trapped for 2,000 years, and its heart is filled with hatred. Once it escapes, it will definitely go on a killing spree. I'm afraid our Hahuan school will be destroyed. Someone's voice was low and worried. The space in the deep pit returned to normal and became abnormally quiet. However, at this moment, Du Xiaofu, who was floating in the sea of clouds in the deep pit, was not calm. His body was wrapped in purple gold lightning and filled with yellow electric arcs. As the aura on his body became weaker and weaker, the spirit root in Du Xiaofu's mind flew out on its own. However, its aura also became weaker and weaker. This spirit root was not under Du Xiaofu's control at all. His primordial spirit was in intense pain. His body was also in intense pain that went deep into his bones. The aura of the spirit root grew weaker and weaker, and in the midst of the stalemate between the lightning tortoise and the lightning tortoise, it was on the verge of dissipating, and its radiance had also dimmed. Yellow lightning arcs began to break through the restraint of the spirit root and gradually struck Du Xiaofu's primordial spirit. Although Du Xiaofu's Yuan spirit was blocked by the silvernet soul-devouring lightning, the intense pain in his Yuan spirit was unbearable for Du Xiaofu. Du Xiaofu gradually fainted and lost consciousness. In Shangzhou, the news of Du Xiaofu causing trouble in the Hahuan school gradually spread. Du Xiaofu caused trouble in the Hahuan school in front of tens of thousands of Hahuan school students. The Hahuan school could not hide it even if they wanted to. Among the tens of thousands of Hahuan school students, there might be spies from other forces. The leader of the 12 godly heroes, the number one of the younger generation in Kyushu, appeared in the Hahuan school. He caused a huge commotion in the Hahuan school and was trapped in the Hahuan school in the end. When this news spread, it immediately shocked everyone. Somewhere in Shangzhou, the mountains stood tall and straight. The 4 seasons were bright, as if they could set an example for all eternity and enlighten all living things. The mountains were full of green and green. The brown cliffs were like sharp swords that pointed to the sky. The most eye-catching thing was a tall mountain that pierced through the clouds. It stood among the mountains like a peerless divine sword that had fallen to the mortal world. It was surrounded by clouds and mist. At the foot of the mountain, tall red maple trees stood tall. They had luxuriant branches and leaves, as if they were covered with red clouds. In the morning, the mountains were as black as iron. As the red sun rose, the tall mountain that looked like a peerless divine sword turned inky blue. Soon after, mist arose. The red maple trees that covered the entire mountain were dyed crimson by the multicolored light. Gradually, they turned into a bronze color, appearing exceptionally magnificent. I have already acknowledged the Demon King, Du Xiaofu, as the leader of the 12 godly heroes in the Tianhuang continent. This matter has something to do with me. I have to go to the Hahuan school. On the mountain peak, a man walked out of the sky. He was 25 or 26 years old. His body was filled with simple and elegant runes that were like mist. He was extraordinarily handsome and his robes were embroidered with sword patterns. That Demon King, Du Xiaofu, is currently being searched for by the devil religion. The dragons and that hidden family will probably not let him go either. Right now, Shangzhou is in troubled times. Evil spirits are breeding. If we are not careful, we may bring a great calamity to our Seimin sword sect. A middle-aged man who seemed to be over 50 years old but still looked rather young said to the extraordinary youth. He wore a long robe with sword patterns. His eyes seemed to flash with sword light that was sharp and fierce. On Tianhuang continent, he does not fear the hidden family, the dragons, or the devil religion. If I fear him now, I probably will not have the qualifications to chase after him in the future, let alone surpass him. The extraordinary youth turned his head and looked at the middle-aged man, saying, "Father, the Saman sword sect will be in my hands in the future. If I fear the slightest thing, how will I lead the Saman sword sect in the future?" The middle-aged man stared at the extraordinary young man. A moment later he spoke, "Go on. You will become the kind of person you are with. Devil King Du Xiaofu, that brat, seems to be pretty good. For people like him, if anyone lent him a helping hand when he was in trouble, he would always remember it in his heart. When he rises up in the 9 prefectures one day, he would never forget you." The middle-aged man paused for a moment. He looked at the extraordinary youth and continued to ask, "But I want to know, do you see him as a friend or an opponent?" The extraordinary youth raised his eyes slightly and looked at the rising sun. He stood with his hands behind his back and said, "He is a friend and half an opponent. Although we have not interacted much, he is worthy of my pursuit." "You have grown up." The middle-aged man smiled and looked at the extraordinary youth. He patted his shoulder lightly and said, "Remember, when you go to the Hehuan school, you will represent the Saman sword sect. After this matter, the election of the alliance leader of the Purifying Evil Alliance in Shangzhou will be a competition between the younger generation. It is also your responsibility. Don't worry. I, Mu Genshin, will definitely be the alliance leader of the Purifying Evil Alliance." The extraordinary young man smiled. The sharp look in his eyes revealed a strong sense of self-confidence. When Du Xiaofu woke up and opened his eyes, he found himself in a sea of resplendent yellow lightning. The surroundings were like a sea of yellow lightning that flowed with destructive energy. Du Xiaofu looked around in the resplendent and slow lightning arcs. Only then did he realize that his body was still wrapped by the Thunder Martial Vein. The Thunder Martial Vein was resisting the destruction of the yellow lightning around him. There were a few Qiankuan bags beside him that were enveloped by the Thunder Martial Vein, which prevented them from being destroyed. Purple Gold Heavenly Palace. Not far away, Du Xiaofu saw that the Purple Gold Heavenly Palace, which had been engulfed by the spiritual thunder, was now bound in the sea of lightning. At this moment, the Purple Gold Heavenly Palace was surrounded by the shadows of the soaring dragon, the leaping tiger, the coiling turtle, and the flying phoenix, which were resisting the destruction of the resplendent yellow lightning arcs. This should be the lair of the spiritual thunder. It didn't take long for Du Xiaofu to understand. It seemed that he had been brought to the lair of the spiritual thunder. With a sharp pain in his mind, Du Xiaofu then peeped into his mind. He was surprised to find that the 3,000 jolting thunder soul seed left by his master, the venerable equipment master, had turned into a sea of flaming lightning that directly burned and bound the thunder turtle, resisting the impact of the thunder turtle. It was not difficult for Du Xiaofu to know that the aura of the thunder turtle was endless, but the 3,000 jolting thunder soul seed was being consumed. He didn't know how long the 3,000 jolting thunder soul seed had lasted, but Du Xiaofu felt that it wouldn't be able to last much longer. In the Mudpill Palace, the spiritual root talisman's secret inscriptions finally dimmed and wrapped around the primordial spirit. The silver net soul-devouring thunder had already merged with the primordial spirit and was difficult to resist at this moment. Although he had woken up, Du Xiaofu was still in a desperate situation. "I can't just sit and wait for death. I can't just die like this." Although his heart was heavy and he knew what kind of desperate situation he was in, Du Xiaofu gradually suppressed the panic and thoughts in his heart. The most important thing now was to find a way to escape. As long as there was a glimmer of hope, he couldn't give up. Chapter 1192. Where's the Purple Lightning Profound Cauldron? Du Xiaofu first thought of the Purple Lightning Profound Cauldron. If he hid in the Purple Lightning Profound Cauldron, he might still have a chance to protect himself. As he probed with his consciousness, he was immediately attacked by the surrounding yellow lightning sea. Du Xiaofu had no idea where the Purple Lightning Profound Cauldron was. It was as if he was isolated from everything inside. "I can't just wait for death," Du Xiaofu said in a deep voice. Purple lightning flashed in his eyes. There were still many things he had yet to do. There was still his mother, sister, and drunkard father. He had yet to reunite with his family. He had yet to take revenge for Tianwu Academy and the 7-Star Hall. There was still Qingqing, I can't die here. Du Xiaofu gritted his teeth. His eyes were filled with determination and stubbornness. It was just like when he was in front of the ancient stone tablet in the Du family. Even if he was mocked by everyone as a fool, he still insisted on comprehending the stone tablet. Therefore, Du Xiaofu began to think of all the possibilities. He had not been destroyed yet because of his lightning martial vein, his spirit root, and the 3,000 jolting lightning soul seed left behind by his master, the revered equipment master. Therefore, he could only rely on these three methods to escape. His heart was filled with stubbornness and determination. However, reality was cruel. Just as Du Xiaofu was thinking of a solution, the 3,000 jolting lightning soul seed retreated. It seemed to have used up a lot of energy and immediately retreated to the side to seek self-protection. Roar! Suddenly, without the restraint of the 3,000 jolting lightning soul seed, the lightning turtle roared. Yellow lightning flashed in its eyes. With a greedy gaze, it pounced on Du Xiaofu's primordial spirit. Previously, Du Xiaofu could still endure the intense pain in his primordial spirit and body. However, at this moment, without the help of the 3,000 jolting lightning, the intense pain immediately intensified by who knew how many times, causing Du Xiaofu to immediately let out a blood-curdling scream. Du Xiaofu's primordial spirit was covered in the dim light of the spirit root, which was the final barrier, allowing Du Xiaofu's primordial spirit to resist for a short while. However, if that spirit root were to dissipate, there would be no way to stop it. Once his primordial spirit was destroyed by the spirit lightning soul seed, Du Xiaofu knew that he would die and would no longer exist in this world. The thunder martial vein could barely protect his physical body, but it could not enter his Naiwen palace to protect his primordial spirit. We can't go on like this. It's good to buy some time. Du Xiaofu made a decision. Silver lightning bolts shot out from his primordial spirit and turned into a tree of silver lightning bolts to assist his spiritual root in resisting the lightning tortoise. Du Xiaofu was unable to control his spirit root, so he could only control his primordial spirit, which was equivalent to controlling the silver net soul-devouring lightning. With the help of the silver lightning tree, Du Xiaofu clearly felt a lot more relaxed, but he was afraid that he would not be able to hold on for much longer. After doing all this, Du Xiaofu struggled to get up from the yellow lightning sea and sat cross-legged in the sea of lightning. Feeling the torturous pain both inside and outside, Du Xiaofu's pale lips were dry and chapped. He muttered softly, "Is there really no other way this time?" Time passed slowly, and Du Xiaofu sat cross-legged and endured. Under such painful torture, being trapped in the sea of lightning, he had lost the concept of time. At this moment, Du Xiaofu was not in the mood to pay attention to time. In the vast sea of lightning, he was the only one who existed. Being tortured by such inhumane pain made him feel an indescribable loneliness deep in his heart. This kind of loneliness could devour a person's heart. Those with weak wills would probably be defeated by this kind of pain. Crackle! In the sea of lightning, only the crackling sound of the electric arcs could be heard. The vast expanse of time seemed to have no end. He did not know how long all this pain and suffering would last. This was a kind of painful torture for Du Xiaofu's soul and spirit. It was enough to make him go crazy. "I can't die. I definitely can't die." Du Xiaofu muttered to himself and persevered with the stubborn belief in his heart. However, under such perseverance, Du Xiaofu did not know how long he had persevered. Du Xiaofu felt that the thunder martial vein in his body was gradually unable to hold on. It was not that the thunder martial vein was not strong enough, but that the yellow lightning outside was too strong. It was forcing the thunder martial vein to retreat. If the thunder martial vein had not been able to absorb lightning energy on its own and replenish its consumption for its own use, Du Xiaofu felt that the thunder martial vein would have been forced back long ago. However, under such circumstances, Du Xiaofu felt a subtle feeling in this lonely time. The thunder martial vein had originally absorbed the yellow lightning. At this moment, it was continuously absorbing it over a long period of time. It seemed to be undergoing a transformation as it was being forced back. The thunder martial vein was resisting the yellow lightning mechanically. It was also devouring the yellow lightning mechanically. It seemed to be transforming on its own, becoming stronger and stronger. This feeling was extremely subtle. If it had not been for this lonely time and space, Du Xiaofu would not have been able to sense it. Walala! As Du Xiaofu's body cracked, the Thunder Martial Vein Talisman runes also retreated a little. The few Qianquan bags around Du Xiaofu lost their protection and were completely exposed to the yellow lightning. Then they began to crack and be destroyed in an instant. Forcibly destroying the Qianquan bags would also completely destroy the things inside. Even if I die, I won't let you off so easily. Suddenly, Du Xiaofu opened his eyes and purple lightning shot out. Just as the Qianquan bags were about to be destroyed, Du Xiaofu directly opened the Qianquan bags. Walala! Suddenly, a large amount of multicolored light spread out and a large pile of treasures rolled out from the Qianquan bags. It was as if they were piled up into a small mountain. These were all treasures that Du Xiaofu had collected. There were talisman weapons, Dao weapons, martial techniques, and refining materials. There were also various heavenly treasures that Du Xiaofu had collected along the way, as well as a large number of high-grade elixirs, spiritual herbs, mystic bones, and demonic beast blood essences. Walala! As if feeling the powerful aura of the treasures that had suddenly appeared, the surrounding yellow lightning suddenly flashed, wanting to directly destroy the martial techniques and talisman weapons and devour their energy for their own use. A large number of heavenly treasures, spiritual herbs, and elixirs were swept up by the lightning. Like a furnace, they were turned into spiritual liquid. In an instant, this large pile of heavenly treasures, spiritual herbs, and elixirs turned into a large ball of spiritual liquid the size of a face. The spiritual liquid was colorful and forcefully gathered together. The violent energy spread. If an ordinary peak chaotic element martial venerable were to come into contact with it, his body would explode and he would die immediately. Kaka kaka kaka. At the same time, the demonic beast blood essences that Du Xiaofu had collected in a large number of bottles and jars exploded and cracked. They gathered together in the spiritual liquid of the spiritual herbs, elixirs, and heavenly treasures. It was like a hodgepodge that finally gathered together. Chapter 1193. Among them, the dragon blood of the Dragon 9 that Du Xiaofu had collected was also gathered within, bringing with it the faint roar of a dragon. Crackle! The yellow lightning boiled as if it had seen its prey when it sensed the huge energy fluctuation. It turned into a howling yellow lightning vortex, wanting to devour the ball of spirit liquid that was filled with terrifying energy fluctuations. You want to snatch my stuff? You're not good enough. Suddenly, at the same time, Du Xiaofu also moved. Du Xiaofu rushed out with the last of his strength, opened his mouth and sucked. Whoosh! He was already close, and at this moment, he swallowed the ball of energy that was the size of a face directly into his mouth. Rumble! Seeing this scene, the yellow lightning was enraged. It had turned those heavenly treasures, elixirs, and medicinal pills into spiritual liquid, but it didn't expect that it would help Du Xiaofu, and it instantly exploded. Thunder rumbled as it swept towards Du Xiaofu's body even more violently. Ah! Du Xiaofu screamed, not only because the yellow lightning's explosion was destroying his body, but also because he had swallowed so much of the violent spirit liquid in one go. That terrifying energy in Du Xiaofu's body was like a volcano erupting, wanting to destroy Du Xiaofu's body from the inside out. The energy contained in that ball of spirit liquid far exceeded Du Xiaofu's expectations. However, this was not important, because Du Xiaofu's plan was that even if he had to play himself to death, he would not let the spirit thunder obtain it. That would only make him die faster. Refine. In an instant, Du Xiaofu immediately activated the golden rock technique to refine the terrifying spirit liquid energy in his body. However, it was only for an instant. Under this kind of internal and external attack, Du Xiaofu once again fainted from the intense pain, but the golden rock technique in his body automatically activated. Rumble! The dazzling yellow lightning surged as if it was in a rage. Endless waves of lightning surged towards Du Xiaofu. Du Xiaofu had already lost consciousness. At this moment, he did not know that after he fainted, the terrifying energy in his body erupted like a volcano, wanting to destroy everything. However, there was also energy that overflowed and wrapped around his broken body, nourishing his body and the thunder martial vein to help him resist. For almost at the same time, the beast roared like thunder. The blood essences that Du Xiaofu had collected from the demonic beasts on the heavenly beast list also began to take effect. At this moment, Du Xiaofu was operating the golden-winged rock cultivation method, which was equivalent to refining his body, transforming into ferocious energy phantoms that wrapped around Du Xiaofu's body. Oh, one of the azure dragon phantoms hovered ferociously, exuding a powerful dragon aura. Its aura was astonishing, causing the surrounding beast phantoms to submit to it. The azure dragon phantoms were formed from the blood essence of Dragon 9 that Du Xiaofu had collected. The blood of Dragon 9 had also been swallowed by Du Xiaofu. This change immediately attracted the attention of the yellow lightning. It suddenly became more violent, erupting with a terrifying aura of destruction. However, at this moment, Du Xiaofu's body was protected by a large amount of energy. Inside his body, under the protection of the energy, it began to gradually recover, and a tenacious vitality appeared. Using the golden-winged rock cultivation method, Du Xiaofu refined the spirit liquid energy for his own use, nourishing and restoring his body and strengthening his thunder martial vein. Du Xiaofu was also refining the blood essences of the demonic beasts to strengthen his body refining method. Those yellow lightning bolts were powerful, constantly attacking and destroying Du Xiaofu's body. However, thanks to the sudden surge of energy that he had swallowed, the unconscious Du Xiaofu began to persevere, and once again began a tug-of-war with the yellow lightning's spiritual lightning. And this kind of intense pain had reached the most unbearable level. Fortunately, Du Xiaofu had fainted, which was equivalent to losing consciousness, and had unknowingly escaped a calamity. After an unknown amount of time, in this lonely space where only the sound of thunder and lightning could be heard, after a long tug-of-war, the yellow lightning fell into a frenzy. The yellow lightning spiritual lightning realized that the human was actually on the verge of destruction. Suddenly, it began to reverse, and its aura began to become stronger and stronger. Du Xiaofu's body was slowly recovering, and at the same time, transforming. As the volcanic eruption of the spiritual liquid energy in Du Xiaofu's body was refined under the pain of destruction, it also turned into an endless stream of profound qi that surged into the dried-up spirit watchtower. The spirit watchtower was no longer dried up, and could nourish the body, bones, and muscles. It could also nourish the thunder martial vein, and gradually, the aura of the body began to become stronger and stronger. Du Xiaofu's body refining method was refining the blood essences of the demonic beasts. His profound qi guided the energy of the blood essences of the demonic beasts to attack his body, and there was a light that spread from the inside out. The light was resplendent, and the runes flickered, constantly changing. This time, Du Xiaofu himself did not know how much blood essences of the demonic beasts he had swallowed this time. In this desperate situation, Du Xiaofu finally used the golden-winged rocks cultivation method to refine the majestic energy of the large pile of blood essences of the demonic beasts into every bit of flesh, bone, and cell in his body. The violent energy of the many demonic beasts' blood essences attacked and cleansed Du Xiaofu's bones of the impurities that were hard to find in his marrow, and nourished his body. At this moment, Du Xiaofu was in a coma, and his bones and marrow were being cleansed to the extreme. Unknowingly, as Du Xiaofu used the blood essences of the demonic beasts to cleanse his bones and marrow, and under the impact of the yellow lightning around him, some of the yellow lightning entered his body to cleanse his bones and marrow. In the beginning, the demonic beast phantoms circling around blocked the yellow lightning arcs from entering his body. In the end, Du Xiaofu's body seemed to have gotten used to the yellow lightning arcs and began to actively absorb the yellow lightning arcs around him to cleanse his bones and marrow. Du Xiaofu's thunder martial veins strengthened again. It was the supreme aura of thunder and lightning. In the beginning, it was suppressed because Du Xiaofu was too weak. However, it had helped Du Xiaofu's body to sustain until now and had not really collapsed. At this moment, as the energy in Du Xiaofu's body recovered, the thunder martial vein erupted again. In the end, just like before, it began to wantonly devour the yellow lightning. At this moment, under the premise that Du Xiaofu had almost played himself to death, everything seemed to have reversed in his coma. Halala! In this yellow lightning space, Du Xiaofu sat cross-legged and fainted. The electric arcs around his body were connected, and golden light had already begun to spread. The mysterious runes of the talisman flashed. From afar, it looked like a golden-winged rock was circling behind Du Xiaofu. It was so domineering that it was enough to make all beasts crawl. At this moment, Du Xiaofu's body, which was originally covered in blood, now had a purple-gold color on his exposed skin. It was sparkling and translucent. After the cleansing of his bones and marrow, his physical body was once again strengthened. With the blood essence of the demonic beasts, especially Dragon 9's dragon blood, Du Xiaofu's body continued to strengthen. By chance, Du Xiaofu was still devouring the yellow lightning and cleansing his bones and marrow. No one knew what other changes would happen in the future. However, one could feel that Du Xiaofu's body continued to strengthen with the addition of the yellow lightning and marrow. It was beneficial and harmless. No one knew how much time had passed. In the sea of lightning, all kinds of dazzling runes flashed. At this moment, Du Xiaofu's body, which was sitting cross-legged, had become crystal clear. Du Xiaofu's aura had started to grow in this sea of lightning. It was unknown when it had started, but the speed of its growth was extremely fast. Behind his back, his long black hair was wrapped in golden runes and accompanied by electric arcs. At this moment, Du Xiaofu was like a deity. He emitted a domineering aura that was ancient and mysterious. Without a doubt, Du Xiaofu had started to transform in this sea of lightning. He had gone from destruction to hope. The speed of this transformation was very slow, but the level of the transformation this time was extremely high. This might even be a caterpillar breaking out of its cocoon and transforming into a butterfly. It was an astonishing transformation that would allow one to be reborn. The transformation was progressing slowly, but Du Xiaofu's aura was rising rapidly. The large pile of spiritual herbs, heavenly treasures, and demonic beast blood essence were piled up like a small mountain. They were all high-level treasures. One could imagine how much energy they contained. At this moment, the astonishing energy had all landed in Du Xiaofu's body. It allowed Du Xiaofu to walk around the gates of hell and obtain astonishing benefits in the end. Under the refinement of the golden rock technique, the astonishing energy turned into surging profound energy that continuously flowed into the god's watchtower under the premise that Du Xiaofu had persevered and didn't die. It had been more than half a year since Du Xiaofu had caused a ruckus in the Hehuan school. In this half a year, many things had happened in the Hehuan school. It had to be mentioned that a few months ago, the Sa Meng sword sect had suddenly come to the Hehuan school with great momentum, wanting the Hehuan school to hand over the demon king, Du Xiaofu. Facing the Sa Meng sword sect, one of the strongest forces in the entire Shang prefecture, the Hehuan school had no choice but to treat them seriously. However, the answer given by the Hehuan school was that the demon king, Du Xiaofu, had already escaped from the Hehuan school. Thus, the Sa Meng sword sect was unable to verify the truth. Furthermore, Du Xiaofu had slaughtered everyone in the Hehuan school. The number of Hehuan school's martial honorable realm experts that had died in his hands was not small. Thus, the Sa Meng sword sect could only leave in the end. Furthermore, Du Xiaofu still had a relationship with the Sa Meng sword sect. After causing a ruckus in the Hehuan school, he was still able to escape safely and swagger away. This caused a commotion in the Shang prefecture once again and became the most lively topic of discussion. In this half a year, many things had happened in the Shang prefecture. The first was the establishment of the Evil Purifying Alliance. Chapter 1194. The Evil Purifying Alliance was an alliance of all the forces in Shang province. 10 alliance elders were selected from the older generation of experts from the various factions. The purpose of the Evil Purifying Alliance was to eliminate the evil spirits that were wreaking havoc in Shang province. Those evil spirits had already spawned in Shang province. They could devour people's minds and souls to strengthen themselves. They massacred humans wantonly. They were strange and difficult to deal with. Normal attacks would not be able to eliminate them completely. Back then, The various forces in Shang province did not plan to deal with those evil spirits on a large scale. They were all minding their own business. However, those evil spirits were getting crazier and crazier. Some of them were getting stronger and stronger. The entire Shang province was affected. Only then did the various forces realize that if they did not eliminate those evil spirits now, it would be too late in the future. Therefore, the Evil Purifying Alliance was formed. Not only in Shang province, but in the other 8 provinces as well. The younger generation of the Evil Purifying Alliance in Shang province fought for the position of alliance leader. Mu Jianshan of the Saiman Sword sect, one of the 12 heroes, was elected as the alliance leader. He led the various forces in Shang province to eliminate the evil spirits together. For a time, the situation in Shang province was turbulent. All the major forces were mobilized and started a mighty cleansing operation. They directly killed all kinds of evil spirits. Under such a cleansing operation, the rampaging evil spirits finally stopped growing crazily and started to retreat. When Du Xiaofu woke up from his unconscious state, his body was still in pain. It was as if his body was about to be torn apart. "I'm not dead yet." Du Xiaofu's first reaction was to feel the pain. He knew that he was not dead yet. However, the endless yellow lightning was being rapidly absorbed by the thunder martial vein in Du Xiaofu's body. At this moment, the yellow lightning energy was being absorbed by the thunder martial vein. Du Xiaofu could feel that the thunder martial vein was changing faster and stronger. The yellow lightning energy was like the nourishment of the thunder martial vein. What surprised Du Xiaofu the most was that the thunder martial vein in his body had finally turned the tables in this tug-of-war. At this moment, although Du Xiaofu's thunder martial vein was still unable to completely suppress the vast and resplendent yellow thunderbolts, at least it was able to protect itself and was no longer suppressed by the yellow thunderbolts. It was still continuously absorbing the thunderbolts like a bottomless pit. Although the thunderbolt martial vein could absorb the yellow spiritual lightning, the intense pain it brought about in his body still made Du Xiaofu feel so much pain that he wished he was dead. However, it was obviously much better than the previous torture that was worse than death. The thunder martial vein crazily absorbed too much yellow radiant spiritual thunder, and it was still absorbing. That violent energy attack seemed to want to tear Du Xiaofu's body apart. In Du Xiaofu's mind, the most resplendent yellow lightning arc tortoise was releasing a violent and destructive pressure that wanted to destroy Du Xiaofu's primordial spirit. But now, Du Xiaofu was surprised to find that the silver lightning arc tree in his primordial spirit, which was formed by the silver lightning arc tree, had miraculously merged with the mysterious light of the spiritual root talisman under the pressure of the yellow radiance thunder spirit. The mysterious light of the spiritual root talisman, which could not be activated and controlled by Du Xiaofu, had now merged with the silver lightning arc tree and covered it. It was as if it had turned into leaves of light that covered the entire tree. As the silver lightning arc tree and the mysterious light of the spiritual root talisman merged together, there seemed to be a chemical reaction between the two. It began to breed a new aura, which was ancient and overbearing and could not be provoked. Originally, as Du Xiaofu's body had swallowed and refined a large amount of energy from the spiritual herbs and heavenly treasures, many of which had the effect of strengthening the primordial spirit. After the energy was refined, it flowed into the Naiwen Palace and was absorbed by the silver lightning arc tree, which had merged with the mysterious light of the spiritual root talisman, making it more and more powerful. There was also the mysterious incomplete cultivation technique that was automatically circulating in his mind, assisting the fusion of the silver lightning arc tree and the spiritual root. Otherwise, it would have been impossible for the silver lightning arc tree and the spiritual root to truly fuse together so smoothly. The mysterious incomplete cultivation technique seemed to have been triggered by something and circulated in his mind on its own. An ancient white light spread out in his Naiwen Palace, as if it was shrouded in divine light. As the mysterious incomplete cultivation technique circulated, it seemed to be able to absorb everything, causing the lightning tortoise's eyes to reveal a look of horror. In the sea of lightning where the resplendent yellow lightning arcs gathered, Du Xiaofu's body was wrapped in a layer of flickering lightning. Purple lightning arcs flowed in all directions. After swallowing the yellow spiritual lightning, the aura of the lightning martial vein on Du Xiaofu's body became stronger and stronger. It was already filled with the aura of a supreme being. The majestic spiritual liquid energy that his body had swallowed caused the celestial energy in his god's watchtower to be filled to the brim, showing signs of a breakthrough. Du Xiaofu's naked body was crystal clear and emitted a golden light. The essence blood of various demonic beasts on the heavenly beast ranking was cleansing his bones and marrow to the extreme. Behind him, there was a golden light of the mysterious light of the talisman that shot into the sky. It vaguely resembled a golden-winged rock that was flapping its wings. It was overbearing and intimidating, a supreme being amongst beasts. Swoosh, swoosh, the bright moon moved. The moon was dark and the wind was strong. 3 figures streaked across the night sky. Su Muxin, so you're really a woman. You deceived the Manchu, and you're no longer a virgin. If you let that Du Xiaofu go, the elders have already decided to remove you from the position of sect master. You'll be temporarily locked up in the heavenly prison to await your punishment. Surrender without a fight. You know that the situation in front of you is hopeless. You have nowhere to run. In the night sky, there was a sneer. Dozens of figures flew through the air and chased after each other. The vast and mighty aura froze a large area of the void. Whoosh whoosh, 3 beautiful figures landed in front of a swaying space. A violent and destructive aura filled the air. Junior sister, we have nowhere to run. I'll help you block a few of them. You run first. As long as you find master, you can return to the Hahuan school and take back the position of sect master. A charming and beautiful woman with a pale face and dark red blood stains at the corner of her mouth added to her poignant beauty. She was the laughing Rakshasa of the Hahuan school, Tang Mailing. How can they let me out of the school so easily? They've already set up an inescapable net outside the school. They definitely won't let us leave to find master. What they want to do is to get rid of us completely before master returns. Her hair cascaded down to her slender waist, and the beautiful face of a purple-robed woman was deathly pale. However, that beautiful face was still enough to captivate all living things. It was so beautiful that it was soul-stirring. Master, you shouldn't have saved me. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been able to hurt you. A beautiful woman with limpid eyes spoke. She was Ji Jian. The beautiful woman turned around and smiled at Ji Jian. Don't think too much. Where there's life, there's hope. As long as we find your grandmaster, we'll have a chance to turn the tables. This is what they're most afraid of now. Junior sister, I'm afraid that we don't even know when master will return. It could be a few years or a few decades or even a few centuries, Tang Mailing frowned. She hesitated for a moment and said, or perhaps he'll never return. Su Muxin raised her eyes slightly and didn't say anything. Suddenly, she looked at the night sky behind her. There were already figures flying over like lightning. She opened her mouth and said, they've caught up. Whether we live or die, it's up to the heavens. If we fall into their hands, we'll definitely die. There's only a slim chance of survival inside. Let's go in. Even if we die, we can't fall into their hands. The Hahuan school is already under their control. Tang Mailing bit her red lips that were stained with blood. Her eyes were filled with coldness. Swish, Su Muxin's hand seals had already formed. Mysterious runes surged out and instantly turned into energy runes that fell into the fluctuating space in front of them. Rumble. Suddenly, the space rippled and a rune space notch appeared in front of them. Let's go. As soon as she finished speaking, Su Muxin grabbed Yin with one hand and rushed into the notch. Tang Mailing's beautiful figure followed closely behind. The 3 beautiful figures instantly disappeared into the spatial ripples, and the spatial ripples returned to normal. Swish, swish. As the 3 of them disappeared, more than 10 figures landed one after another. A vast aura condensed in the air and spread in all directions. We were a step too late. They actually escaped. A handsome man's face was gloomy. His eyes were filled with coldness, but there seemed to be some kind of reluctance in his eyes. He didn't know that Su Muxin was such a beautiful woman. That's a land of death. Those who go in never come out. It saves a lot of effort. A beautiful woman in the front murmured with coldness in her eyes. I just don't know if that bitch collected those 2 cultivation techniques. It would be a pity if the Qianyang dragon subduing technique really fell into her hands. Walala! In the sea of lightning where the vast yellow light gathered, the aura on Du Xiaofu's body had risen to a critical point. At this moment, as the thunder martial vein absorbed the energy of the yellow spiritual thunder, the aura became stronger. There was also a wave of energy that seeped out from the thunder martial vein and entered his body. It was as if it was returning to its origin. It was like the reverse flow of the sea, and it kept surging into Du Xiaofu's divine watchtower. Chapter 1195. His aura strengthened, and his divine watchtower was full. Du Xiaofu could clearly feel an unprecedented power surging out of his body. Even his physical body had strengthened once again from its original level of strength. His bones, muscles, meridians, and acupoints were all strengthening. Du Xiaofu's entire body was filled with a faint golden fluorescent light from inside out. His physical body continued to transform under the extreme cleansing of his bones and marrow, a transformation that leaped by leaps and bounds. This kind of leaping transformation of his physical body made Du Xiaofu feel that even if he fought purely with his physical body now, his battle strength would still soar. Bang! Suddenly, the critical point within Du Xiaofu's full divine watchtower expanded to the point where it could no longer be suppressed. A low muffled sound rang out. In an instant, an unprecedentedly powerful aura swept out from Du Xiaofu's body as if it covered the sky and covered the earth. Rumble! This domineering and terrifying aura caused the yellow lightning space to rumble endlessly. It stirred up lightning that overflowed into the sky, as if it wanted to stir up the sea of lightning until it turned the sky and earth upside down. The domineering energy fluctuation caused the lightning arcs in the yellow lightning sea to undulate like a vast ocean. Like a golden rainbow across the sky, bright and dazzling runes surged in all directions. At this moment, at the same time, an incomparably domineering aura began to seep out from Du Xiaofu's body. A purplish gold light shot out in all directions, as if the sun was about to rise in this sea of lightning. Walala! The bright purplish gold lightning was tens of thousands of feet long. It was as if countless purplish gold energy ribbons were pouring into this yellow lightning space, emitting a blazing light. In the next instant, a huge purplish gold golden-winged rock illusion spread its wings and soared into the sky from the surface of Du Xiaofu's body. This purplish gold rock illusion enveloped Du Xiaofu's body, as if it had merged into one and was about to soar into the sky. At this moment, Du Xiaofu's body swept out from the sea of lightning as if he had transformed into a real golden-winged rock. Gee! Du Xiaofu roared like the cry of a golden-winged rock. The sound waves pierced through the clouds amidst the resplendent yellow sea of lightning. Rumble! The shadow behind Du Xiaofu spread its enormous wings, and purple gold lightning arcs sparkled all over its body. Its ferocious aura spread out, causing the entire lightning space to tremble. Golden Winged Rock, are you a human or a demonic beast? The sea of thunder surged, the yellow light was resplendent, and the thunder was boiling. The surprised voice of the spiritual thunder came. At this moment, this violent and destructive spiritual thunder seemed to have sensed something from Du Xiaofu's body. As the thunder boiled violently, it once again condensed into a huge yellow lightning turtle that was thousands of feet long. The 10,000 feet long lightning turtle exuded a violent and destructive aura, and it seemed to cause the entire space to tremble. Its eyes were fixed on the purple gold golden-winged great ping that surrounded Du Xiaofu. Transcendent martial honorables, refining the divine body, Faced with the huge lightning turtle's gaze, Du Xiaofu laughed heartily from within the purple gold golden-winged great pung. His eyes shot out purple gold lightning arcs, and they were like 2 bright suns that illuminated the sky, overlooking the world. At this moment, Du Xiaofu felt as if he had transformed into a real golden-winged rock, and he could sense and capture everything about the golden-winged rock. His heart and spirit moved, and his mind wandered. At this moment, Du Xiaofu felt as if he was the real golden-winged rock, soaring in the heavens, and he could control the supreme power. In the sea of thunder, the violent and destructive yellow spiritual thunder could no longer make Du Xiaofu feel uncomfortable. The purple golden-winged great prong behind Du Xiaofu seemed to merge perfectly, and it released an endless and domineering aura. It was as if it was going to soar into the heavens. At this moment, Du Xiaofu had completely changed. He had turned the situation around, and he had stepped into the transcendent martial honorable realm. With the help of the heavenly beast rankings blood essence and the Dragon Nine's blood, he had cleansed his bones and cleansed his marrow. Along with the breakthrough, he had completed the cleansing of his bones and had stepped into the realm of refining the divine body. Strong, there was an unprecedented amount of power surging in his body. It was as if he could subdue dragons and tigers with just a raise of his hand, and he could crush the void. This kind of power in his body made Du Xiaofu's heart tremble, and he wanted to roar loudly. The huge lightning turtle, under the supreme aura of Du Xiaofu's golden-winged great peng, also had a fierce look in its eyes. The spiritual thunder could not understand. The human in front of it had clearly reached the point where he could not withstand a single blow. How could he rise up again and even break through? The human in front of it was like a real great peng, and it could not believe it. This is my territory. Even if you can break through, you will still be destroyed. The yellow lightning tortoise roared, glaring at the violet gold great rock in rage. Its eyes were so ferocious that they seemed to materialize into lightning, shooting towards the great rock. Chila. Du Xiaofu flapped his wings, and the huge purple gold rock behind him flapped its wings, shattering the two bright yellow lightning bolts. In the next instant, a naked figure wrapped in dazzling purple gold lightning slowly walked out of the illusory figure. Purple gold light shone brightly like a miracle. From the body of the tall and straight figure, there was a supreme aura that filled the air and suppressed the world. At this instant, dazzling violet gold bolts of lightning flashed out from the surroundings, violet gold talisman markings flickered, and an unprecedentedly formidable aura stretched out from the tall figure of violet gold bolts of lightning. The aura was incomparably powerful, engulfing the skies. It couldn't be provoked, but it also carried the power of execution. His eyes shot out violet gold lightning like two violet gold suns, and the domineering aura caused the space to rumble. Du Xiaofu slowly raised his head and looked at the humongous lightning tortoise in front of him. A sinister smile appeared on his face, and the corners of his mouth curled up as he said, "You must be satisfied after dealing with me for so long. If you will die too." Sensing the sinister look in Du Xiaofu's eyes, the lightning tortoise was enraged. It stirred up a large patch of dazzling yellow lightning that swept towards Du Xiaofu. Still using the same tricks? It's a pity that they won't work now. Looking at the dazzling yellow lightning that swept towards him, Du Xiaofu smiled. He wrapped his body with the thunder martial vein, opened his mouth, and instantly sucked the dazzling yellow lightning into his mouth. Finally, he licked his lips greedily, as if he had not had enough. His physical body had been tempered, and it had reached the divine body refinement realm. Originally, Du Xiaofu's body had been tempered by the violet gold lightning in the purple lightning profound cauldron, and he had the immortal Xian body. Now, with the protection of the thunder martial vein, he had already gotten used to the yellow spiritual lightning in desperate situations. Therefore, Du Xiaofu had already gotten used to the yellow spiritual lightning. Moreover, after such a long time, although the spiritual lightning seemed to have endless energy, Du Xiaofu also felt that it had consumed a lot of energy in the stalemate with him. The spiritual lightning was consumed more by the spiritual lightning soul seed in Du Xiaofu's Naiwen Palace, which caused the yellow spiritual lightning to become much weaker. Now it's my turn. After swallowing the yellow lightning, Du Xiaofu's sinister smile still hung on his face, and the dazzling violet gold lightning started to surge around him. It's not your turn to be arrogant, puny brat. You're courting death. The lightning turtle was enraged, and with a furious roar, its huge body charged toward Du Xiaofu with boiling lightning. Bastard! Du Xiaofu sneered, and at the same time, the huge violet gold lightning rock behind him flapped its wings and swept out. Its mighty and domineering pressure swept out, and its huge body covered most of the space. Coo! The purple gold rock screeched. Its voice seemed to penetrate the lightning space. The sound waves were able to distort the lightning in the space. Its body was covered in purple-gold electric arcs. As they twisted rapidly, they finally gathered into huge purple-gold thunderbolts. Bolts of purple-gold lightning destroyed the surrounding yellow lightning before landing heavily on the lightning tortoise's body. The terrifying violet-gold lightning that covered the sky and earth fell, and the lightning turtle's body trembled. Roar! The lightning turtle roared, and the sound of thunder resounded. Its ferocious head was like a giant python flying dragon, and in an instant, it swallowed the violet-gold lightning rock with lightning speed. Chila! Violet-gold lightning arcs erupted from the violet-gold rock's sharp claws. The lightning arcs wreaked havoc in the sky, and it was like a violet-gold sun in the sky. A claw print tore through the space, and directly tore the lightning turtle's ferocious head apart. The violet-gold rock's other claw landed heavily on the lightning turtle's back. Chivla! The terrifying claw print landed, and the lightning turtle, which was filled with wild and destructive energy, was in a stalemate for a moment, before cracks began to appear on its body. In the next instant, the surface of the 1,000 feet large lightning turtle began to ripple with violent yellow lightning arcs. Rumble! At this moment, Du Xiaofu's body swooped down, and his fist, which was covered by the lightning martial vein, was like a violet gold lightning ball, as it heavily landed on the lightning turtle's cracked back. The violet gold lightning was filled with killing intent, and its aura was like that of a lightning sovereign. Rumble! The lightning turtle finally cracked under Du Xiaofu's punch. The destructive and violent energy spread out, and it turned into a dazzling lightning rune that swept out like a tidal wave. In this terrifying sea of spiritual lightning, Du Xiaogang was no longer afraid, and he could move freely without any damage. Bastard! In Du Xiaofu's Naiwen Palace, the miniature lightning turtle, which was formed by the yellow spiritual lightning soul seed, roared and said furiously, "Boy, I will not let you go. When I devour your primordial spirit, you will be doomed forever." Chapter 1196. You still want to swallow my primordial spirit? When Du Xiaofu heard this, the huge purple-gold lightning rock behind him disappeared and turned into a series of purple-gold talisman inscriptions that covered the surface of his body. He sat down cross-legged and closed his eyes. Tsk tisk. At the same time, in Du Xiaofu's Naiwen Palace, the miniature version of Du Xiaofu's primordial spirit had a silvery white electric arc in its eyes. Du Xiaofu's Yuan spirit moved as it gave off the aura of being forged by the purple-gold Xian bomb. Du Xiaofu's Yuan spirit stared intently at the lightning turtle in his Naiwen Palace as it faintly revealed a sinister smile. "Brat, you want to swallow me?" The lightning turtle with the soul seed seemed to have sensed the intention of Du Xiaofu's primordial spirit. It was surprised that Du Xiaofu wanted to swallow its soul seed. "You want to swallow my primordial spirit? Why can't I swallow your soul seed?" Du Xiaofu's primordial spirit sneered and curled the corners of his mouth. He had already turned the tables. Although he did not know if he could swallow the second spiritual lightning soul seed, Du Xiaofu did not plan to let go of such an opportunity. Most importantly, the spiritual lightning soul seed had entered Du Xiaofu's Naiwen Palace. Other than swallowing it, Du Xiaofu could not find a way to chase it out. Tsk, you have only broken through to the extraordinary martial honorable level. Martial Domain Realm and 9-star Spiritual Symbol Master are not qualified to swallow my soul seed. You are too weak. When it heard this, the spiritual lightning soul seed was stunned. It then laughed coldly. "You are not the first spiritual lightning soul seed that I have swallowed." Du Xiaofu glanced at the lightning turtle with the soul seed. This spiritual lightning soul seed was naturally more difficult to swallow than the silver silk soul devouring bomb. However, it did not seem like there was no chance. Upon hearing Du Xiaofu's words, the thunder tortoise's eyes darkened as it stared at the tree of silver lightning arcs in front of it. Then, it trembled and fell silent. After Du Xiaofu finished speaking, his Yuan spirit body sat down cross-legged in his Naiwen Palace. He formed a seal with his hands and started to mutter, "The Tao of heaven and earth uses yin and yang to create all things. Heaven and earth, sun and moon, thunder and lightning, wind and rain, for seasons, male and female, hard and soft, active and passive. All things are divided into yin and yang. Heaven and earth see people as mayflies, and the great Tao sees heaven and earth as bubbles and shadows. Only the true nature of the primordial spirit surpasses the primordial spirit, and its essence disappears along with the heaven and earth. However, as long as the primordial spirit exists, there is no limit. It is born from the heaven and earth. If you want to see the primordial spirit, you must first see the light of Xing. This light is the light of true Xing. Without light, it is difficult to find the true Xing primordial spirit. As Du Xiaofu finished muttering, he turned into a series of unfamiliar characters. They were like dazzling ancient runes that bloomed like fireworks in his Naiwan palace. In the end, they enveloped the soul-seeded lightning turtle. Crackle! At the same time, the silver electric tree in front of Du Xiaofu's yuan spirit that had fused with a spiritual root exuded an ancient aura. It was as if one was facing a king that could not be resisted. It directly suppressed the soul-seeded lightning turtle. At this moment, the aura of the silver electric tree was not to be challenged. Mysterious runes erupted, and it was as if the silver electric tree was taking root and sprouting. Countless branches and leaves spread out like a net of light and enveloped the lightning turtle. Roar! The lightning turtle roared and immediately struggled. A terrifying destructive force swept out, but the more it struggled, the tighter it became under the shroud of the silver electric tree. The mysterious runes on the silver electric tree were like the sharpest blades of light. It was as if they were going to cut the soul-seeded lightning turtle into pieces. A magnificent and desolate aura spread. It was as if a supreme being had ascended to the heavens. The soul-seeded lightning turtle struggled, and terrifying destructive electric arcs erupted. Under such a struggle, Du Xiaofu felt excruciating pain in his yuan spirit even though he had some advantage and something to rely on. His entire body was under attack. This soul-seeded lightning turtle was definitely not easy to devour and refine. Otherwise, there would have been experts from the Hehuan school who had successfully fused with the soul-seeded lightning turtle over the past 2,000 years. They could only seal it. At this moment, although the soul-seeded lightning turtle's struggle made Du Xiaofu uncomfortable, Du Xiaofu had been through a long period of extreme pain. It was as if he had been tempered in a hopeless situation. The pain at this moment was not unbearable for Du Xiaofu. The soul-seeded lightning turtle's struggle stimulated Du Xiaofu's full strength. He used the mysterious incomplete technique and the silver electric tree to bind the soul-seeded lightning turtle with overwhelming force. Gradually, fear appeared in the soul-seeded lightning turtle's eyes. It could not understand how the human in front of it, who was on the verge of death, could reverse the situation so quickly. Every dog had its day. The soul-seeded lightning turtle began to fight like a trapped beast. It struggled violently and continuously released terrifying and violent destructive energy. This made Du Xiaofu's face in the outside world reveal an extremely painful expression from time to time. As time passed, the soul-seeded lightning turtle's struggle did not seem to have much effect. As Du Xiaofu used the mysterious incomplete technique and the silver electric tree to suppress it, the soul-seeded lightning turtle gradually weakened. Of course, Du Xiaofu's performance at this moment seemed to be natural and easy for him to deal with the soul-seeded lightning turtle. However, if it were someone else, it would be as difficult as ascending to the heavens. Human, let's call a truce. I can withdraw from your mudpill palace and let you leave this place. How about we stay out of each other's business in the future? Finally, the soul-seeded lightning turtle began to beg for mercy. It felt that it was weak and did not want to be refined and fused with. It's too late to beg for mercy now. Since you want to devour me, it's only right for me to devour you now. Du Xiaofu sneered coldly. There was no room for negotiation. Every dog has its day. Naturally, he would not let it go. While controlling the silver electric tree and using the mysterious incomplete technique, Du Xiaofu used all his strength to suppress the soul-seeded lightning turtle. At this moment, the soul-seeded lightning turtle had become weak and could not even struggle anymore. However, as the spiritual thunder, it was the most terrifying creature in the world. How could it be easy for Du Xiaofu to truly devour it? Over the countless years, there had been many experts who had dominated the world. However, only a few of them were qualified to successfully integrate a spiritual thunder. It was no doubt a fool's dream to want to completely integrate and refine it in a short period of time. Just like that, time passed. Du Xiaofu's body and primordial spirit were both sitting cross-legged like an old monk in meditation. 10 days, 20 days, or even longer. Finally, Du Xiaofu felt that the soul-seeded lightning turtle was completely powerless to resist. Its fierce eyes revealed its last reluctance and helplessness. Then he began to absorb, refine, and integrate it. Perhaps it's because you've gotten used to this bolt of spiritual lightning in this desperate situation where you'd rather die than live. The lightning turtle no longer struggled. Refining and integrating it was easier than Du Xiaofu had expected. After successfully refining the soul-seeded lightning turtle, Du Xiaofu's face broke into a smile. He was overjoyed. The soul-seeded lightning spiritual thunder, which was originally violent and destructive, was now extremely tamed. It was like a newborn baby. It no longer resisted and integrated into the silver electric tree, causing the tree to emit a bright yellow glow. Originally, Du Xiaofu was worried that his primordial spirit already had one type of spiritual thunder. He was afraid that he would not be able to integrate a second type of spiritual thunder. Even if he could integrate a second type of spiritual thunder, he did not know what would happen when the two types of spiritual thunder merged into one. However, Du Xiaofu's worries seemed to have been for nothing. Under the effects of the mysterious incomplete technique, the two types of spiritual lightning seemed to fuse together after a slight contact. Although the integration of the two types of spiritual thunder was not perfect in the beginning and there was some resistance, it gradually became more natural and closer to perfection. At this moment, Du Xiaofu did not know that since ancient times, there had been many powerful figures and powerhouses who had integrated one type of spiritual thunder. In the end, no one succeeded in integrating a second type of spiritual thunder. Spiritual thunder was the most powerful living thing in the world. Any type of spiritual thunder was a terrifying existence. Integrating two types of spiritual thunder into one was as difficult as ascending to the heavens. Du Xiaofu's ability to integrate two types of spiritual thunder was closely related to the mysterious incomplete technique. Without the help of the incomplete technique, not to mention integrating two types of spiritual thunder, even one type of spiritual thunder would be as difficult as ascending to the heavens. Otherwise, Du Xiaofu would not have been the only one to obtain this spiritual thunder in the Hehuan school. Then, the silver lightning tree transformed into a wave of energy that surged into Du Xiaofu's primordial spirit, causing the surface of Du Xiaofu's primordial spirit to be filled with dazzling yellow lightning. At the same time, it caused the aura of Du Xiaofu's primordial spirit to skyrocket. This spiritual thunder was comparable to the martial domain realm. It made it so that martial domain realm cultivators and 9-star soul symbol masters were unable to integrate and refine it. Its soul seed was equivalent to the primordial spirit of a human or beast clan cultivator. The energy contained within it was enormous. At this moment, as Du Xiaofu refined it, it was also obtained by Du Xiaofu. As the spiritual thunder was integrated and refined, the lightning turtle gradually became smaller. The aura of Du Xiaofu's primordial spirit became stronger and stronger. The yellow lightning on his primordial spirit also became more and more dazzling and resplendent. Time slowed down once again, and the space once again fell into a kind of silence. It was likely that after the soul seed lightning turtle was completely refined, Du Xiaofu's body would undergo another earth-shaking transformation. And the next transformation would come from Du Xiaofu's primordial spirit. No one knew what kind of changes would occur when two types of spiritual thunder were integrated into one's body. After all, in this world, there were no records of anyone who had the talent to be able to integrate two types of spiritual thunder into one. And now, Du Xiaofu was gradually integrating two types of spiritual thunder into one in this underground space. Chapter 1197. Translator, H2-2 Mr. Time passed just like that. Du Xiaofu was also immersed in a state of selflessness. In this state of selflessness, a 9-petaled lotus flower had appeared under Du Xiaofu's primordial spirit. It was a purple lotus flower that rippled with electric arcs. It was crystal clear and had a total of 9 leaves. The lotus flower was crystal clear, as if it was formed from the most perfect purple spirit jade in the world. It was natural and beautiful. However, the purple electric arcs rippling on the lotus flower were enough to make one's primordial spirit tremble. In the middle of the purple electric lotus flower, there was a smooth lotus platform. It was spotless and gave off an ancient aura. Du Xiaofu's primordial spirit body was already sitting cross-legged on this lotus platform. The purple electric lotus floated and seemed to be supporting Du Xiaofu's primordial spirit body. This was the 9 Revolutions Divine Lei Lian. It was a treasure that Du Xiaofu had obtained back in Tianhuang mainland. It was very likely to be the 3rd mysterious treasure of Jinlei Tensei. Although this 9 Revolutions Divine Lei Lian was not a treasure, it could help Du Xiaofu to understand the lightning mystique. It could allow Du Xiaofu to achieve twice the results with half the effort. Time continued to pass silently like this. At a certain moment, Du Xiaofu's mind suddenly trembled while he was completely unaware of it. His soul core's eyes opened up, and one of his eyes shone with dazzling yellow light while the other shone with dazzling silver light. At the same time, in the vast space outside, Du Xiaofu's body was surrounded by purple gold, silver, and yellow electric arcs. Whoosh! The energy of heaven and earth came from nowhere and gathered in the surroundings. The energy of heaven and earth seeped into the space between Du Xiaofu's brows and finally into his Naiwen palace. In the Mudpill Palace, Du Xiaofu's primordial spirit sat cross-legged on the 9 Revolutions Divine Lei Lian. The tree of silver electric arcs was also infused with a bright yellow glow. His Yuan Shen's aura had been rising for a very long time. Waves of aura rippled out from Du Xiaofu's Naiwen palace. These ripples were invisible to the naked eye, but they were getting more and more intense. Boom! Finally, this fluctuation reached its most intense state. As this intense fluctuation spread out, the vast space within the deep pit began to boil like boiling water. His aura was rising violently. The aura that emanated from Du Xiaofu's Naiwen palace was like a dam that had been opened, pouring down in torrents. It whizzed out and continuously attacked the barrier. How powerful was the yellow light spiritual thunder? The energy on the soul seed had all gathered in Du Xiaofu's body. Although the enormous energy on the yellow light spiritual thunder soul seed had been refined by the mysterious incomplete cultivation method and had become increasingly pure, the energy that could be absorbed by Du Xiaofu at this moment was only 10 to 20% of the purest energy. Otherwise, if the energy contained in the yellow light spiritual thunder soul seed was absorbed by Du Xiaofu's primordial spirit, no matter how powerful Du Xiaofu's primordial spirit was, it would not be able to withstand the self-destruction. No matter how large a lake was, it could not accept a vast ocean. However, the yellow light spiritual thunder was so powerful that it was comparable to a martial domain realm or a 9-star spiritual talisman master. Even after being refined by the mysterious incomplete cultivation method, Du Xiaofu was able to absorb 10 to 20% of the surging energy contained in the soul seed. It was still shocking. In terms of primordial spirit power, a 9-star spiritual talisman master was comparable to 10 8-star nirvana spiritual talisman masters. Rumble! In the space of the deep pit, the surrounding energy of heaven and earth was violent, causing the space to shake and tremble. An invisible aura swept out from between Du Xiaofu's eyebrows. Then, the vast primordial spirit power also rushed out from between Du Xiaofu's eyebrows like a stormy sea. It shot up into the sky from the deep pit at lightning speed. Hula! The terrifying aura soared, and dazzling electric arcs filled the sky. The vast and majestic primordial spirit power spread out like a storm. The rising aura was too extraordinary and ancient. It was accompanied by the silver net soul-devouring thunder, the yellow light spiritual thunder, and a terrifying spiritual root pressure. At this moment, if there were other spiritual talisman masters present, it was unknown how shocked they would be. The primordial spirit power had always been the most difficult to cultivate and increase. At this moment, the primordial spirit power that was spreading out from Du Xiaofu's body was so powerful that it could only be described as terrifying. This kind of pressure was enough to directly crush an ordinary person's primordial spirit. The most important thing was that Du Xiaofu's primordial spirit aura was soaring, continuously soaring. Under the frightening scene of the boiling space and lightning flashing and thunder rumbling, Du Xiaofu's primordial spirit aura soared, driving Du Xiaofu's spiritual talisman master level aura to break through, but not continuously. This kind of continuous breaking speed was enough to make all spiritual talisman masters stunned and endlessly envious. It was continuously breaking through in a manner that was enough to make all spiritual talisman masters stunned and endlessly envious. In the space of the deep pit, yellow electric arcs and thunder violently swept across. Why is the spiritual thunder suddenly rioting, damn it? The electric arcs filled the sky, and the terrifying aura surged violently. 3 graceful figures were swept up in it, resisting the terrifying electric arcs around them. These 3 beautiful figures were all very moving. One was charming, one was quiet and noble, and one was charming and noble, as if she could bewitch all living things. The 3 were Su Muxin, Tang Meiling, and Jijian. The 3 girls had fled from the Hehuan school to this talisman array forbidden area, and suddenly, they were affected by the devastating electric arcs and thunderbolts. Su Muxin and Tang Meiling's strength were very strong, but at the moment, both of them were seriously injured. Under this terrifying aura fluctuation, the 2 girls still had to protect Jijian, so they could only protect themselves. Fortunately, these devastating electric arcs and thunderbolts were not specifically targeted at them. Something's not right. There's the silver net soul-devouring thunder and the aura of the spiritual root. Could it be that he's not dead yet? Is he still alive? Su Muxin looked at the electric arcs that filled the sky. There were yellow electric arcs, purple-gold electric arcs, and silver electric arcs, accompanied by the terrifying aura of the spiritual root. Immediately, her breathtaking beautiful face changed color. The defensive halo on her body protected Jijian, and Su Muxin's beautiful figure was wrapped in the energy formation halo and directly swept down into the space below. He's not dead yet. Could it be that Du Xiaofu, that little bastard, is still alive? The laughing Rakshasa and Tang Meiling were stunned when they heard this. Then, they wrapped themselves in the protective halo and followed after. The wind and clouds surged, and all the electric arcs seemed to have transformed into a huge whirlpool. A figure wrapped in electric arcs of various colors sat cross-legged in the middle of the whirlpool. It was like a miracle. The terrifying aura of the primordial spirit on his body soared like a rocket. Whoosh whoosh, 2 dazzling halos forcefully swept over, and 3 beautiful figures appeared outside the whirlpool. It was Su Muxin, Jian, and the laughing Rakshasa and Tang Meiling. The terrifying aura of the primordial spirit spread out from the whirlpool, and Su Muxin and Tang Meiling's hearts trembled. The 3 women were stunned as they looked at the figure covered in lightning that looked like a divine miracle. This is impossible. How can the power of the primordial spirit be so strong? Tang Meiling looked at the figure sitting cross-legged in the middle of the whirlpool of electric arcs. Electric runes soared into the sky, and a powerful aura filled the air. The power of the primordial spirit stunned her. Suddenly, Tang Meiling seemed to have sensed something. She was stunned and couldn't help but cry out, "An 8-star extraordinary talisman master." That person's aura should have just broken through, but he's still breaking through to become an 8-star origin talisman master. Is he going to break through consecutively? The laughing Rakshasa and Tang Meiling were shocked. At the level of an 8-star talisman master, it was extremely difficult to break through even one level, no matter how talented one was. Most people would find it difficult to break through even one level in their entire lives, let alone the perfected and extraordinary levels. But now, the aura of the figure covered in electric arcs clearly showed that he had just broken through to become an 8-star extraordinary talisman master. But now, he was still breaking through, and the momentum was not slowing down. It wasn't weak at all. Instead, it was getting more and more violent. Su Muxin looked ahead. Her face was pale, and her eyes were rippling violently. Her aura was extremely weak. Under the protection of her master, Su Muxin, Jiyen's eyes were filled with hope amidst the shock. Whoosh! The aura of the figure continued to soar. Just as Tang Meiling was dumbfounded, he broke through another bottleneck. 8-star origin talisman. Tang Meiling's jaw dropped for a long time. At the level of a perfected 8-star extraordinary talisman master, there was actually someone who could break through consecutively. Chapter 1198. It was as if the cultivation bottlenecks that were as difficult as ascending to the heavens for ordinary people could be easily broken through by the lightning figure. A terrifying aura rippled in this vast space, and the storm of primordial spirit power continued to surge. In the lightning vortex, the aura of the miraculous lightning figure hovered at the peak of the 8-star primordial chaos realm. It seemed that he was going to continue breaking through. That guy can't still break through, right? How can he let others live? The laughing Rakshasa, Tang Meiling, was helpless and dejected. What she saw today was definitely a big blow to her. If he can't resist the temptation of breaking through, it will only harm him in the future. It's no different from pulling up seedlings to help them grow. There's no benefit. Su Muxin looked at the lightning figure in the vortex in front of her and frowned slightly. Her expression was extremely complicated, and a strange look flashed in her eyes. In the terrifying vortex, the lightning figure sitting cross-legged still had his aura at the peak of the 8-star primordial chaos realm. He didn't break through and was even suppressing himself. That person seems to be blocking the breakthrough. He's suppressing himself. Tang Meiling revealed a puzzled expression. Her eyes were also filled with shock. She knew very well that cultivators were simply unable to resist the enormous enticement and comfortable feeling brought about by a breakthrough. But now, the lightning figure in front of her had actually stopped under the great temptation of breaking through consecutively. He was even suppressing himself. What kind of self-control and mental state did this require? In the terrifying vortex, the lightning figure's aura was between the peak of the 8-star primordial chaos realm and the late 8-star primordial chaos realm, and even the middle 8-star primordial chaos realm. It was as if a tug-of-war had broken out. This tug-of-war lasted for a long time. In the end, the aura around the late 8-star primordial chaos realm subsided. The lightning vortex and primordial spirit storm that occupied this space finally dissipated under the dazzling runes, and finally, this space returned to relative calm. The lightning figure appeared in midair, and the lightning arcs on his body were restrained. In the void, Du Xiaofu sat cross-legged. Between his eyebrows, there was silver-yellow divine light of electric arcs. In his Naiwen palace, the silver tree of electric arcs had disappeared. Only a purple 9-petaled lotus remained. Du Xiaofu's essence soul was wrapped in silver electric arcs and resplendent yellow electric arcs, forming a silver-yellow electric arc. At this moment, Du Xiaofu's primordial spirit body exuded an ancient aura, but it also contained violent destruction. Du Xiaofu's primordial spirit closed its eyes. A bright yellow lightning talisman appeared in his Naiwen palace. It was a huge amount of information contained in the yellow lightning. As Du Xiaofu completely refined the yellow light spiritual thunder soul seed, this huge amount of information was also integrated into Du Xiaofu's primordial spirit. In the space of the underground crater, there were still bright yellow electric arcs rippling all around. However, at this moment, these bright yellow electric arcs had already restrained their violence and destruction. They had become docile. Su Muxin, the smiling Rakshasa, and Tang Meiling felt the suppression greatly reduced. They looked at the figure in front of them, who was gradually withdrawing his electric arcs. Instantly, the three of them were shocked. The smiling Rakshasa, Tang Meiling, was the most shocked. Her eyes almost popped out of their sockets. She exclaimed, "It's Du Xiaofu. He's not dead. He's even broken through to become an 8-star origin spiritual talisman master. Big Brother Dabai isn't dead. He's still alive." Ji Jian's eyes were filled with astonishment. Then, a look of joy appeared in her eyes. After a while, Du Xiaofu, who was sitting cross-legged in the void, closed his eyes and began to tremble slightly. The majestic pressure of the primordial spirit around him dissipated. Chi-chi, then he opened his eyes. A white divine light, accompanied by silver-yellow lightning, shot out from Du Xiaofu's eyes. What a powerful aura! It's enough to crush all 8-star origin spiritual talisman masters. Tang Meiling was shocked. She could feel the terrifying aura from the body that was sitting cross-legged. It was not something that could be compared to those of the same level of cultivation. It was enough to crush those of the same level of cultivation. At this moment, as the terrifying aura spread, even she felt an inexplicable pressure. There was even a faint sense of fear. The silver-yellow electric arcs shot out from Du Xiaofu's eyes. Then, they dissipated into his eyes and became clear again. 8-star origin spiritual talisman, earth-shattering thunder. Du Xiaofu stood up. He felt the changes in his Naiwen palace, and a smile appeared on his face. After a desperate situation where he almost died, there was still a way out. In the end, he fused 2 types of spiritual lightning. Under the immense power of the lightning, he took the opportunity to break through from a perfected 8-star origin spiritual talisman master to a late-stage 8-star origin spiritual talisman master. This leap was like crossing a heavenly moat. Under the immense power of the lightning, there were still signs of a breakthrough. However, the successive breakthroughs were stopped by Du Xiaofu. When one reached the level of a perfected 8-star origin spiritual talisman master, the leap was huge. The successive breakthroughs made Du Xiaofu very clear about the consequences of spoiling things through excessive enthusiasm. The strength and joy brought about by a temporary surge in cultivation couldn't make up for the side effects brought about by the never-ending path of the strong. Therefore, Du Xiaofu maintained the last trace of clarity during the breakthrough and forcibly suppressed it. Under Du Xiaofu's refining, the majestic energy that had gathered in his body was condensed again. It even overflowed into his body and stopped from continuing to break through. As for the yellow spiritual lightning, after the final fusion, Du Xiaofu also learned a lot of information from his soul seed. That was the great earth-shattering thunder, which came from the vast earth. After countless years of silence, it absorbed the thunder and lightning left behind by the violent storms, lightning flashes, and thunder, and finally gathered together. By chance, those lightning bolts had obtained a fortuitous encounter and developed intelligence. They turned into the heavenly earth-shattering thunder, which was a type of spiritual thunder. This earth-shattering thunder was finally captured by the ancestors of the Hehuan school. However, none of the experts of the Hehuan school could fuse with it. They could only set up a talisman array to bind and suppress it. This imprisonment had trapped the earth-shattering thunder for 2,000 years. It seems to have changed. Peering into his body, Du Xiaofu felt that the body of the primordial spirit in his Naiwen palace had reached a higher level, whether in terms of the pressure or the intensity. More importantly, the soul seeds of the silver net soul-devouring thunder and the earth-shattering thunder had been fused together, and there was a new aura. Du Xiaofu even felt that the body of his primordial spirit had already fused with the spiritual root that he could not fuse with before. The talisman inscriptions of the spiritual root were like a light net that covered the primordial spirit, releasing a faint fluorescent light. It was as if the primordial spirit was wearing a light cloth. Du Xiaofu could clearly feel the powerful aura emanating from the primordial spirit. Compared to before, the primordial spirit seemed to have undergone a metamorphosis. At this moment, just the power and energy contained in the primordial spirit alone made Du Xiaofu feel that he had the confidence to fight against the laughing Rakshasa, Tang Meiling, from the Hehuan school. At this moment, the soul seeds of the silver net soul-devouring thunder and the earth-shattering thunder had fused into one. In addition to the fusion of the spiritual root, Du Xiaofu did not know how powerful the primordial spirit would be in the end. He was full of anticipation. But there was no doubt that the fusion of the 2 spiritual thunders, in addition to the spiritual root, made Du Xiaofu feel ferocious and intimidating under this metamorphosis. The peak of transcendent martial venerable, the divine body refining realm, Du Xiaofu took a deep breath, and a smile appeared on his face. In terms of spiritual talisman master, he had reached the late 8-star origin realm and was not far from the nirvana realm. In terms of martial arts, with the successive breakthroughs in the spiritual talisman master level, they complemented each other. The spiritual talisman master level nourished martial arts, and once again, martial arts received great benefits. He had just broken through to the transcendent realm, and now he had reached the peak of the transcendent realm and was close to the origin realm. At the transcendent martial venerable level, he had just broken through to the peak of the transcendent realm. It seemed that there was not much difference, but there was a huge gap between them. At this moment, Du Xiaofu's body had also reached the third level of the golden-winged rock body refining technique. His whole body was crystal clear and filled with a purple-gold color. This time, he had consumed the blood of the azure dragon and the blood essence of many evil beasts on the heavenly beasts list. He had refined his bones and washed his marrow to the extreme, and finally, his body had reached the last level of the divine body refining realm. This was another metamorphosis in his body. At the original level of Du Xiaofu's body, he had cultivated the golden-winged rock body refining technique, and his body was already terrifying. Later, under the purple-gold Xian thunder in the purple thunder profound cauldron, he had forged the indestructible Xian body. It was extremely difficult to strengthen his body. Now that he had stepped into the divine body refining realm, his body had strengthened and transformed again. Just the combat strength of his body alone was enough to strengthen Du Xiaofu by a large margin. One who survives a great disaster is bound to have good fortune in the future. His character is not bad. In the void, Du Xiaofu stood up and stretched slightly. The crisp sound of joints and bones could be heard. Phew! A mouthful of turbid air was then spat out from his throat, and the vibrations caused the space to tremble. Feeling the vast and mighty Xian Qi in his body, Du Xiaofu's eyes flashed with a smile. At this moment, he was a late-stage 8-star origin spiritual talisman master and a peak transcendent martial venerable. Compared to when he had entered this space, his strength was more than just the difference between heaven and earth. Chapter 1199. Translator. H2 Mr. Du Xiaofu felt as if he could shatter space with just a wave of his hand. Even if he faced a nirvana martial sovereign, he would not need to retreat. Du Xiaofu was overjoyed by the transformation this time. He was trapped in the terrifying great earth-crumbling thunder and was in a desperate situation. He had a slim chance of survival and was close to being destroyed. However, in the end, he still had such an opportunity. Du Xiaofu was unable to measure the magnitude of this opportunity. However, just the breakthrough in his cultivation this time was enough for Du Xiaofu to understand in his heart. It could be said that just the improvement in his cultivation this time was something that he might not be able to achieve in 10 years or even 10 years if he were to cultivate on his own outside. Qi! Suddenly, Du Xiaofu raised his head. His eyes suddenly surged with a bright light as he stared intently at the three beautiful figures in front of him. Tang Meiling, Yin. Du Xiaofu's figure shot out from the sea of lightning. In a flash, he appeared in front of the three women. Other than Tang Meiling and Jijian, there was an extremely beautiful woman in the middle. She was so enchanting that her beauty was soul-stirring. Qi La. Without any hesitation, Du Xiaofu's figure appeared. Amidst the sea of lightning and arcs, lightning runes brought about an arc of lightning. They converged into two thunderbolts and instantly collided with Tang Meiling and Su Muxin. Little bastard! Following Du Xiaofu's sudden attack, Tang Meiling immediately turned pale and cursed loudly. The yellow thunderbolt shocked her in her weakened state. She immediately activated an energy pillar to defend herself. Su Muxin frowned slightly. She watched as the thunderbolt swept over. With a wave of her hand, a light screen blocked in front of her. Boom! The yellow thunderbolt exploded. It was the great earth-crumbling thunder. It shook Su Muxin and Tang Meiling, causing their figures to tremble. Qi La. Almost at the same time, Du Xiaofu appeared in front of Jijian. With a wave of his hand, he pulled Jijian away from the beautiful woman. Su Muxin's beautiful figure trembled. Her eyes secretly trembled, revealing a bit of emptiness and faintness, but she didn't stop him. Are you okay? Du Xiaofu pulled Jijian and retreated dozens of feet away, his eyes filled with worry. But seeing that Jijian was unscathed except for some injuries and weakness, Du Xiaofu felt relieved. Big brother Dabai, I'm fine. I knew you'd be fine. Looking at the young man in front of her, Jian was so excited that she couldn't believe it. Then, for some reason, she suddenly lowered her head. Her beautiful face was flushed red, and she was so shy that she looked like she was about to cry. Du Xiaofu noticed Ji Jian's reaction, but he didn't take it to heart. At this moment, Tang Meiling was here, and she was an absolute powerhouse. And that beautiful woman also seemed familiar. Compared to Tang Meiling, she was probably more difficult to deal with. Du Xiaofu's eyes were fixed on Tang Meiling, filled with coldness. Originally, he didn't have a good impression of the Hehuan school. This time, he was almost killed by the Hehuan school. One could imagine how Du Xiaofu was feeling right now. Looking at Du Xiaofu, Su Muxin's eyes shone brightly on her pale face. Then, she glanced at Du Xiaofu and lowered her eyes slightly. On the other hand, Tang Meiling looked at Du Xiaofu with shock in her eyes. Then, she looked at him with interest. Her eyes were filled with astonishment, and a strange smile appeared on her lips. She said, "You have some capital. It seems that you're not in a good situation," Du Xiaofu said coldly. He could see at a glance that Tang Meiling and the beautiful woman were in a bad situation. Tang Meiling and the beautiful woman were like arrows at the end of their flight. On the other hand, he had just made a breakthrough, and his strength had skyrocketed. He definitely had a chance to suppress them. Hearing Du Xiaofu's words, the laughing Rakshasa, Tang Meiling's strange smile immediately disappeared. She recalled what happened back then, and immediately looked at Du Xiaofu with anger. She gritted her teeth and said, "Hateful brat, I said that if you fell into my hands again, I would definitely teach that brat a lesson. How dare he lie to me? Hateful. Do you think you still have the strength to do so?" Du Xiaofu sneered, his eyes filled with golden light. He stretched out his hand from the yellow lightning arc, and a purple-gold lightning arc suddenly streaked across the air and appeared in his palm. Roar! The purple-gold lightning arc faintly carried the roars of dragons, tigers, birds, and turtles. In the end, it turned into a shocking divine weapon. It was the purple-gold heavenly tower. The purple-gold heavenly tower was no longer bound after Du Xiaofu refined the heavenly tower of earth. It naturally returned to Du Xiaofu's hand. Even if you want to fight, you should at least put on some clothes first. Do you think being naked will increase your battle prowess? Su Muxin raised her eyes slightly to look at Du Xiaofu. Her eyes secretly flickered with some soul-stirring power, but she did not look directly at Du Xiaofu. Du Xiaofu was confused when he heard that. He lowered his head to look at himself, and his expression immediately changed drastically. At this moment, Du Xiaofu finally walked out from the joy of escaping death and making a breakthrough. Only then did he realize that the clothes on his body had been destroyed into ashes by the earth-shattering thunder. At this moment, he was clean and naked. Holy shit! Suddenly, Du Xiaofu's expression changed drastically. A smear of redness crept onto his face. Most importantly, Du Xiaofu discovered that he was now naked and naked. All of his pouches of cosmos had been destroyed, so he could not find any clothes to cover his body. Facing the three women, Du Xiaofu's face flushed red in embarrassment. He could only use the purple-gold heavenly tower of earth to cover the important parts of his body. Ji Jian stood behind Du Xiaofu. She was even more bashful at that moment. Her face was completely red, and she lowered her head, not daring to look directly at him. He does have some capital. It's just that I didn't expect the Demon King Du Xiaofu to actually like to play naked. If this were to spread out, I'm afraid it would definitely shock the 9 provinces. Tang Meiling stared straight at Du Xiaofu, sizing him up with interest. The smile in her eyes rippled with lust. It was alluring. Put it on. Su Muxin frowned slightly. After hesitating for a moment, she waved her hand and threw a dark purple robe to Du Xiaofu. Du Xiaofu had no other choice. A suction force gushed out from his palm and immediately sucked the robe into his hand. Dazzling lightning arcs erupted from his body, dazzling the eyes of others and making it difficult to pry into his body. As the lightning gradually dissipated, the void was completely empty. Everything had disappeared. Where's that little bastard? Why did he disappear? As the lightning dissipated, Tang Meiling's beautiful eyes were filled with doubt. After the dazzling lightning dissipated, Du Xiaofu's figure also disappeared. Not good. Almost at the same time as Tang Miling's voice came out, Su Muxin's beautiful eyes immediately changed. Her aura suddenly soared into the sky and swept out in all directions. Crackle. At the same time, in the surrounding space, a large amount of purple-gold lightning arcs suddenly rippled and poured down. Accompanied by a terrifying aura of destruction, it filled the surrounding space. The aura of the purple-gold lightning arcs caused Su Muxin and Tang Miling's eyes to suddenly reveal a serious expression. All of this was within Su Muxin and Tang Miling's expectations. Quietly, in a moment of panic, a huge object filled with a terrifying aura covered the entire space and suddenly enveloped the entire area. Swish! Before Su Muxin and Tang Miling could react, the two girls were enveloped by a huge purple-gold cauldron. As the purple-gold cauldron rotated, it shrank to the size of a palm and hovered in front of Jijian. That terrifying aura caused Jijian's eyes to be filled with shock. Du Xiaofu, who had just disappeared, also appeared from the surrounding yellow lightning arcs. At this moment, Du Xiaofu was wearing a dark purple robe. Although it was a little tight, it was still a good fit, causing his tall and straight body to become even more sturdy. Pumph! With a wave of his hand, the purple lightning profound cauldron hovered in his palm. Du Xiaofu's embarrassed and flushed face still had a faint blush on it. The purple lightning profound cauldron's aura was originally forcefully isolated by the earth-shattering thunder, causing Du Xiaofu to be unable to control it. However, at this moment, it had once again returned to Du Xiaofu's hands. Chapter 1200. Jijian snapped out of her daze. Seeing the scene before her, she guessed that her master and martial uncle were probably already trapped. She turned to Du Xiaofu and said loudly, "Big brother Dabai, don't hurt my master and martial uncle." Your master and martial uncle? Du Xiaofu stared at Jijian in surprise. Big brother Dabai, it's like this. Jijian immediately told Du Xiaofu everything that had happened afterwards. She said, "Master is actually a good person." Zhao Lu had always been suspicious of Master's true identity. Later on, the spy Zhao Lu had arranged finally discovered that Master was actually a girl, and not a virgin at that. She then used Hehuan School's rules to suppress Master. Under Jijian's hurried narration, Du Xiaofu finally understood the gist of the situation. In summary, Su Muxin was actually a girl, and had been dressing as a boy in Hehuan School all this time, keeping the entire Shangzhou in the dark. Hehuan School had two factions. One was the schoolmaster faction led by Su Muxin, and the other was the school supervisor faction led by Zhao Lu. The schoolmaster faction led by Su Muxin was left behind by Su Muxin's master, the previous schoolmaster. This previous Hehuan School schoolmaster had already left Hehuan School more than 10 years ago. It was said that he had gone in search of the legendary Qianyang subduing dragon skill, and thus his whereabouts had always been unknown. Zhao Lu had set her sights on the Hehuan School schoolmaster position. With the secret support of some of the Grand Elders, she finally found an excuse this time. She used the excuse that Du Xiaofu had obtained the Qianyang subduing dragon skill and escaped from Su Muxin's grasp. Later on, she discovered that Su Muxin was a girl and that she was no longer a virgin. According to the Hehuan School's rules, Su Muxin could no longer become the schoolmaster. Although Hehuan School had many dual cultivation techniques, as the schoolmaster of Hehuan School, she had to maintain her virginity. Once she was no longer a virgin, no matter how strong she could not become the Hehuan School's schoolmaster. Zhao Lu had her means. After learning that Su Muxin was a girl, she also discovered that Su Muxin was no longer a virgin. She immediately arranged for the Grand Elders to vote to revoke Su Muxin's position as the schoolmaster and send her to prison. In the prison, Zhao Lu had some misgivings. After all, the previous schoolmaster might still be alive. He was a strong person in Hehuan School. To prevent any mishaps in the future, she wanted to completely eliminate all future troubles. She found an excuse to cripple Su Muxin's strength first. As the schoolmaster of Hehuan School, Su Muxin was a dual cultivator of martial arts and talisman. She knew the prison talisman formation like the back of her hand. Even though Zhao Lu had secretly arranged a lot of things, she could not stop Su Muxin. In the end, she escaped to the talisman formation that Du Xiaofu had been forced to enter to seal the earth-shattering thunder. In that case, Su Muxin is a girl. Now the Hehuan school is in internal strife. When Du Xiaofu heard this, his eyes turned. When he heard that Su Muxin was a girl, he felt that something was wrong. However, when he thought about it carefully, he could not think of anything. Soon after, a smile appeared on Du Xiaofu's resolute and determined face. Apart from being surprised that Su Muxin was a girl, when Du Xiaofu saw Su Muxin's fate, he could not help but feel that he had gotten his revenge. He was secretly delighted. Big brother Dabai, don't hate my master. In fact, my master is really a good person. Even before you were trapped and escaped, my master had promised me that as long as you handed over the Qianyang subduing dragon art, he would definitely ensure that you leave safely. Master threw you into the heavenly prison to scare you and make you hand over the Qianyang subduing dragon art. Ji Yan said worriedly to Du Xiaofu. When she saw Du Xiaofu's delighted expression, she knew that Du Xiaofu was rejoicing in her misfortune. Is that so? Du Xiaofu raised his brows and frowned. However, Du Xiaofu was also very unhappy that he had been chased by Su Muxin for so long on the Tianhuang mainland. However, compared to his previous displeasure, Du Xiaofu was much more relieved now. After all, Su Muxin was a girl and was also Ji Jian's master. Big brother Dabai, hurry and let master and martial uncle out. Martial uncle and master were already severely injured in order to protect me. They can't be injured anymore. Ji Jian's face was full of worry. She was afraid that Du Xiaofu would make Su Muxin and Tang Meiling suffer. After hearing Ji Jian's words, Du Xiaofu could only smile helplessly. Finally, he formed a hand seal and the Purple Thunder Profound Cauldron revolved in his palm. As the Purple Thunder Profound Cauldron gradually expanded, two beautiful figures appeared under the Purple Thunder Profound Cauldron. These two people were naturally Su Muxin and Tang Meiling. However, at this moment, the beautiful and seductive woman's hair was disheveled. Their hair was disheveled, and they were covered in purple gold lightning aura. It seemed that the two of them must have suffered a little in the Purple Thunder Profound Cauldron just now. Little bastard, I'm not done with you. As soon as she came out of the Purple Thunder Profound Cauldron, the laughing Rakshasa, Tang Meiling, immediately jumped up in anger. She glared at Du Xiaofu and looked like she was going to fight to the death with Du Xiaofu. Martial uncle, though? Let's talk things over. Ji Jian was afraid that something else would happen and immediately pulled Tang Meiling back. Chapter 1201. With Ji Jian in the middle, Du Xiaofu could somewhat trust Su Muxin at this moment. What do you all plan to do now? After a while, Du Xiaofu looked at Su Muxin and the laughing Rakshasa Tang Meiling and asked, when my master returns to the sect, it will be time for those people to suffer. The laughing Rakshasa Tang Meiling glared viciously at Du Xiaofu, as if tacitly agreeing that they were all in the same boat and could temporarily work together. Du Xiaofu had already gotten a general idea of the situation regarding Tang Meiling and Su Muxin's master from Ji Jian earlier. Hearing Tang Meiling's words, he smiled faintly and said, we still don't know when your master will return. Even if he does, Hehuan school would already be in the hands of that Zhao Lu. Do you think she would know about you all, much less know that you all are here right now? Who knows? They might even dare to make a move against your master when the time comes. Hearing Du Xiaofu's words, Tang Meiling gritted her teeth in anger. However, she knew that Du Xiaofu's words made sense, and she had no way to refute them. He's right. Zhao Lu is already in control of Hehuan school. Even if master returns, everything will change. No one knows what will happen. Su Muxin said to Tang Meiling. Then she turned to look at Du Xiaofu, a complicated, bottomless look in her eyes. After a while, she asked Du Xiaofu, do you have any plans? Could it be that the position of Hehuan school head can be snatched away just like that? Du Xiaofu asked Su Muxin after a moment's thought. Su Muxin replied, Hehuan school has a council of elders. Over the years, Zhao Lu has roped in quite a few elders. The council of elders' decisions carry a lot of weight. This time, Zhao Lu arranged for the council of elders to vote. More than half of the elders have already colluded with her. Hearing Su Muxin's words, Tang Meiling looked at Du Xiaofu and said, "Actually, this is also related to another fight over Hehuan School 20 years ago." "Is it related to what happened 20 years ago?" Du Xiaofu's brow furrowed. Tang Meiling didn't say anything else. Instead, she looked at Su Muxin as if she was asking for her opinion. Amidst Su Muxin's charm and nobility, she quietly revealed a complicated expression that was difficult to detect. Her clear eyes were blurred and covered in a faint shadow. She nodded to Tang Meiling and said, "He possesses the Qianyang subduing dragon art, so he's more or less involved in this matter. There's no harm in letting him know." Tang Meiling rolled her eyes at Du Xiaofu and said, "Ever since Hehuan School was founded, only those who cultivated the heaven and earth dragon tiger art could become the school head and supervisor. It's a heaven-level cultivation technique. But 2,000 years ago, for some unknown reason, the ancestors of Hehuan School split the heaven and earth dragon tiger art into two, the Qianyang subduing dragon art and the Kuan Yin subduing tiger art. Legend has it that the ancestors of Hehuan School placed the Qianyang subduing dragon art in Mount Cloudy Rain. There are also rumors that it's in other places, but no one has been able to find it in the past 2,000 years." Pausing for a moment, Tang Meiling pursed her red lips and rolled her eyes at Du Xiaofu. She continued, "Because the heaven and earth dragon tiger art was split into two, only leaving behind the Kuan Yin subduing tiger art, its power was greatly reduced. This also caused the Hehuan School's strength to decline over the past 2,000 years. 2,000 years ago, the Hehuan School was located in Shangzhou. Even the Sa Meng Sword sect feared it. Otherwise, that brat Mu Jianchen from the Sa Meng Sword sect wouldn't have dared to come to my Hehuan School in such a threatening manner and demand that the Hehuan School hand you over." "You're saying that the Sa Meng Sword sect's Mu Jianchen went to the Hehuan School to find me?" Du Xiaofu was very surprised. His mind turned. The Sa Meng Sword sect was indeed located in Shangzhou. Back in Tianhuang continent, they didn't have much of a relationship with Mu Jianchen. They were only one of the 12 godly heroes in the outside world. That Mu Jianchen of the Sa Meng Sword sect brought many experts from the Sa Meng Sword sect into the Hehuan School. In the end, he even injured an elder from the Manchu. He said that you were also one of the 12 godly heroes and that you were the leader. Whoever in the Hehuan School dared to touch you would be making an enemy out of him and the Sa Meng Sword sect. He only left after Zhao Lu and the others lied to him that you left," Jijian said to Du Xiaofu with certainty. She also knew about this matter. Sa Meng Sword sect's Mu Jianchen. Du Xiaofu raised his head slightly. Ripples appeared in his eyes as he committed this person to memory. Tang Meiling glanced at Du Xiaofu and continued, "After the heaven and earth dragon tiger technique was split into two, the power of the Kuan Yin taming tiger technique was greatly reduced. The strength of the Hehuan sect has been faintly weakening, and they have been unable to find a way to combine the heaven and earth dragon tiger technique to form the heaven-level technique, heaven and earth dragon tiger technique. Therefore, more than 20 years ago, someone suggested that the sect rules be changed to another dual cultivation technique, the yin-yang harmony technique. This technique is second only to the heaven and earth dragon tiger technique in the Hehuan sect. Although it has not truly reached the heaven level, it is said that it is the closest to it." About 40 years ago, Zhao Lu and Zheng Anteo both used the yin-yang harmony technique and stood out among their peers. They suppressed their peers and were the first to become martial honors and 8-star spirit talisman masters. Therefore, under the influence of some people, 20 years later, which is about 20 years ago, the elders agreed to change the sect rules. From now on, the yin-yang harmony technique will be the sect leader's cultivation technique and Zhao Lu will be the next sect leader. "I see." After listening to Tang Meiling's words, Du Xiaofu roughly understood the grudges between them. He then asked curiously, since the elders had already agreed, why didn't Zhao Lu become the overlord? "That's because the overlord of the Hehuan School, who is also my junior sister's master, had a very high status in the Manchu. She had a fiery temper and severely injured an elder on the spot. She objected, but the elders refused to let it go. In the end, they decided to let the younger generation compete for the position of the overlord. Whoever is stronger will become the next overlord. The elders were confident and thus agreed. Tang Meiling revealed a charming smile and proudly said, "However, Zhao Lu never expected that my master had already known what those people were thinking. She was unwilling to change the rules left behind by the Manchu's ancestors and secretly nurtured my junior sister. My junior sister's talent was peerless. She cultivated both the martial path and talisman path. Her martial path was a supreme talent, while her talisman path was also a supreme spiritual root. She also secretly cultivated the Kuan-Yin tiger subduing technique and hid her true strength for more than 10 years in the Manchu." Licking her dry lips, Tang Meiling proudly said, "On the day of the competition, my junior sister revealed her true strength and defeated Zhao Lu, who thought that victory was in her grasp. In the end, with master's support, she became the next overlord. In order to find the Qianyang dragon subduing technique, master abdicated and left the Hehuan school to search for it. All these years, there was no news. However, Zhao Lu and the others did not give up and secretly arranged to seize the position of overlord. This time, they took the opportunity to make trouble and discovered that my junior sister was no longer a virgin. Therefore, under their arrangement, the elders decided to abdicate my junior sister's position and let Zhao Lu become the Hehuan school's overlord. At this point, she subconsciously looked at Su Muxin and did not say anything. As her senior sister, Tang Meiling was also very curious. When exactly did her junior sister lose her virginity? In the entire Shangzhou, she had never seen or felt that her junior sister was interested in anyone of the same generation. Su Muxin slightly bit her teeth and lips. Her eyes were a little blurred. She looked at the youth in front of her who was still wearing the long robe she wore. Everything happened in the illusory realm. He probably did not even know. Originally, she thought that she would never have anything to do with him in this life. Who knew that fate would make fools of people? The will of heaven was unpredictable. In the end, they were entangled together like this. Su Muxin sighed and lowered her eyes. Who would have thought that the world would be so strange? In other words, you are powerless to reverse the situation. Even if you kill Zhao Lu, you will not be able to take the position of overlord? Du Xiaofu said with a frown. You can say that. Tang Meiling nodded at Du Xiaofu. The Hehuan school had its own rules. Zhao Lu and Zheng Anteo cultivated the yin-yang combination technique. Naturally, they could become the overlord. This time, when she fought with Zhao Lu, her junior sister also exposed that she cultivated the Kuan-Yin tiger subduing technique and was not a virgin. Naturally, she could not become the overlord. Moreover, the elders of the Hehuan school had already made their decision. Even if they defeated Zhao Lu, they would not be able to reverse the situation. Even if Zhao Lu and Zheng Anteo were alone, they would not be able to do anything to her junior sister. However, Tang Meiling knew that if Zhao Lu and Zheng Anteo were to join forces, they would be able to suppress her junior sister. I believe that the Hehuan school must have hidden experts. Don't they care about anything? Du Xiaofu asked. When he was in the Hehuan school, he felt many hidden auras. Among them, there were at least 2 martial domain realm auras. They should be the hidden experts of the Hehuan school. Chapter 1202. This, Tang Meiling hesitated for a moment, then said to Du Xiaofu, I'll tell you the truth. My Hehuan school was extremely powerful in the past. It wasn't much weaker than the Seimin sword sect. There were many martial domain realm and 9-star talisman masters in the Manchu back then. Other than those who died due to the Great Limit, there was also a martial domain realm elder and a 9-star talisman master several hundred years ago. They entered this place to fuse with the great earth-crumbling thunder and never returned. There are still 5 martial domain realm and 9-star talisman masters in the Manchu, including my master. However, my master isn't in the Manchu right now. There are also the 2 oldest grand elders. It's said that they haven't appeared in the past 1,000 years. I don't know if they have the Great Limit. At their cultivation level, they only want to improve and search for opportunities everywhere. They won't show themselves in the Manchu at all. As for who should be the schoolmaster, even if they know, they won't interfere. Tang Meiling's beautiful eyes narrowed as she said, the other martial domain realm elder and 9-star talisman master are Zhao Lu's masters. This is troublesome. Du Xiaofu was depressed. He already knew the situation from Tang Miling's words. In the Hehuan sect, Zhao Lu already had everything under control. The two people above her who could restrain her were her master, and the group of elders had also been controlled. Su Muxin no longer had a chance to retaliate. As long as we leave the Hehuan school, we'll have a chance to find my master. The elder group doesn't listen to Zhao Lu all the time. Some of them are still observing. Many of them have been secretly locked up in a prison by Zhao Lu. She's afraid that there will be an accident during the elder group's vote. Otherwise, Zhao Lu wouldn't have had absolute confidence in the elder group's vote back then, Su Muxin said. No matter what, leaving the Hehuan school is the most important thing now. Du Xiaofu said. The most important thing now was to leave the Hehuan school. Du Xiaofu, do you have the real Qianyang subduing dragon art on you? Tang Miling looked at Du Xiaofu and asked. She recalled how she was tricked by this brat in the prison with the fake Qianyang subduing dragon art. This, Du Xiaofu hesitated. He did have the real Qianyang subduing dragon art, but he didn't know if he should completely trust Su Muxin and the Grand Elder's words. One must always be on guard against others, not to mention that they were still in the Hehuan sect. Sigh. Tang Miling sighed softly. She glanced at Du Xiaofu and said, It's useless even if you have the real Qianyang subduing dragon art. Although junior sister has practiced the Kuan Yin subduing tiger art, it's not. So even if you have the real Qianyang subduing dragon art, it's useless. Let's recuperate first. When I recover, we might have a chance to leave. After all, they probably think that we're dead. They're in the light now, and we're in the dark. Su Muxin said calmly. Damn it. Zhao Lu obviously snatched the position of sect leader, but she still wants to spread the news and invite all the major forces to the Hehuan school to watch the ceremony. It should be a few days later. Tang Miling said hatefully. It was obvious that she was very unhappy. She stamped her feet slightly, and her graceful curves were exquisite and alluring. Du Xiaofu's eyes suddenly flickered, as if he had sensed something. Then, a misty light mist gushed out from between his eyebrows, spreading out circles of spatial ripples with an ancient and boundless aura. He said to Su Muxin, Tang Miling and Jijian, Come in here and recuperate. It'll be faster. You little bastard, not a single word you say is true. Why should I believe you? Tang Miling didn't dare to believe Du Xiaofu. She still hadn't forgotten how she was tricked last time. She was afraid that Du Xiaofu didn't have good intentions towards them. Martial Ant, believe in Big Brother Dubai. He won't do anything to us. Jijian smiled at Tang Miling. Then she walked directly into the rippling spatial ripples. Su Muxin glanced at Du Xiaofu. She tapped her feet lightly, and her graceful figure instantly drew an alluring arc as she entered the spatial ripples. If you dare to lie to me again, I won't let you off. Tang Miling pouted. After glaring at Du Xiaofu, she also entered the spatial ripples. Du Xiaofu's brows twitched slightly. At this moment, everyone was indeed in the same boat. Without Su Muxin and Tang Miling's help, it would be somewhat risky for him to leave the Hehuan school. Therefore, Du Xiaofu also hoped that Tang Miling and Su Muxin would recover from their injuries as soon as possible. If the experts of the Hehuan school sensed that the heavenly earth-shattering thunder had been fused, they would probably directly enter this place. Du Xiaofu put away the ancient desolate space. His eyes were filled with doubt as he muttered, Why is there still someone here? At the same time, Du Xiaofu's figure also disappeared from the spot. This deep underground space was originally the lair of the heavenly earth-shattering thunder. Resplendent yellow electric arcs could be seen everywhere. Crackle. Occasionally, electric arcs would gather and shuttle back and forth in the sea of electric arcs. However, after Du Xiaofu had fused with the heavenly earth-shattering thunder, the dense yellow electric arcs were no longer destructive and violent. Especially when Du Xiaofu's figure passed by, the yellow electric arcs automatically separated. Du Xiaofu's figure swooped down all the way. At this moment, when he carefully observed, he discovered that this underground space was so deep that it seemed as if it really led to the nine hells. After half an hour, Du Xiaofu's figure appeared in front of a sea of surging yellow electric arcs. The yellow electric arcs here were even more powerful, and they still carried a violent and destructive aura. This isn't normal. Du Xiaofu's eyes revealed a look of doubt. With a wave of his sleeve, the bright yellow electric arcs in front of him suddenly split into two, and a small cave appeared in front of Du Xiaofu's eyes. There were no restrictions set up in the cave, and it was filled with a sea of bright yellow electric arcs. In the middle of the electric arcs, Du Xiaofu could clearly see two figures sitting cross-legged. It was a man and a woman, and both of their eyes were tightly shut. The two of them looked like they were in their 40s, and their bodies were wrapped in a black and white inlaid rune light circle that protected them. Strictly speaking, the light circle did not protect the two of them. Instead, it was absorbing traces of yellow electric arcs. Finally, it slowly poured the absorbed yellow electric arcs into the two of them. The man and woman were actually absorbing the energy of the heavenly earth-shattering thunder. Du Xiaofu's eyes were filled with doubt. The woman's charm was outstanding, and her fine black hair was tied up in a bun. Her face was graceful and luxurious. As for the man, his golden hair was loose, and he gave off a wild aura. Although the two of them were sitting cross-legged, they were currently facing each other, and their four hands formed an extremely strange hand seal. At this moment, what made Du Xiaofu even more surprised was that although the two of them were sitting cross-legged, Du Xiaofu could faintly feel that the aura of the two of them was extremely boundless. It even made Du Xiaofu feel that the more he probed, the more vast it felt. An expert, an absolute expert. Du Xiaofu immediately frowned. The two of them were able to stay in this place unscathed, and it seemed that they had been here for a long time. They were actually not destroyed by the heavenly earth-shattering thunder, and instead looked leisurely, as if they were deliberately absorbing the heavenly earth-shattering thunder. They were definitely terrifying experts, and Du Xiaofu could not help but feel wary. Feeling the hand seals formed by the man and woman at this moment, and the terrifying aura that spread out from the two of them, Du Xiaofu seemed to be able to feel a kind of déjà vu aura, as if he was quite familiar with it. Just as Du Xiaofu's thoughts were flying through his mind, the bright yellow electric arcs in the rock cave had gradually disappeared. Then, the man and woman's hand seals dispersed, and the black and white light circle on their bodies dispersed. Their tightly shut eyes trembled slightly, and then they opened. Chi-chi, following which, the man and woman opened their eyes, and a bright light shot out from their eyes. Two powerful and terrifying auras immediately spread out from their bodies, and yellow electric arcs overflowed in all directions. Dang dang! Just the aura that spread out from the man and woman's body was enough to cause Du Xiaofu, who was far away, to directly take a few steps back. Boom! That formless and vast aura was incomparably majestic, and revealed an endless vastness. Too strong. Du Xiaofu was shocked. At this moment, the aura that spread out from the man and woman made Du Xiaofu feel that it should be above that of his master, honorable weapon, and fifth martial uncle, Minister GMO. At this moment, Du Xiaofu also immediately became vigilant. His aura surged, and his body emitted a golden light, causing the bright yellow electric arcs in the space to surge. The yellow-haired man opened his eyes, and stretched his waist. He looked at Du Xiaofu with a rather strange gaze, and slightly raised his eyebrows. This kid seems to be only a transcendent martial honorable. Daring to come down with such strength and still not being killed, this is a miracle. No, suddenly, the yellow-haired man seemed to have discovered something, and his eyes trembled fiercely. He immediately stood up and looked at Du Xiaofu in shock. Fused with the heaven-shattering earth thunder, you actually fused with that spirit thunder, and only have the cultivation of a transcendent martial honorable. How is this possible? Could it be that you were able to enter this place because of Hehuan School? Wild Dream Dual Domain Lord. Listening to the yellow-haired middle-aged man's words, Du Xiaofu's eyes moved. With the strength of these two people, if they wanted to do anything to him, it would definitely be troublesome. He was afraid that he would be in big trouble when the time came. I do have some relationship with Hehuan School, but it's not a good relationship. I can't do anything to those people from Hehuan School, so I could only escape here. Du Xiaofu didn't hide it anymore. With their status, they had already shown their sincerity. There was no need for him to hide it anymore. Anyway, if they wanted to fight, he could only fight with all his strength. So that's how it is. This is fate. Hearing this, the yellow-haired middle-aged man laughed and said to Du Xiaofu, "You were chased here by Hehuan School. Does Hehuan School have a deep grudge against you, or do you have a deep grudge against Hehuan School?" "It has nothing to do with me. It's your Hehuan School that's in chaos." Du Xiaofu felt that the yellow-haired middle-aged man in front of him had a straightforward personality and wasn't a treacherous person. Therefore, he didn't hide it anymore. Hehuan School is in chaos? Hearing this, the middle-aged woman frowned. Her eyes moved and she asked Du Xiaofu, "What's the situation in Hehuan School now?" Du Xiaofu didn't have to hide it. He told her the cause of the incident from Su Muxin and Tang Meiling, as well as the general situation in Hehuan School. They actually dared to have internal strife. This group of disappointing things. "I'm so angry." Hearing Du Xiaofu's words, the yellow-haired middle-aged man immediately cursed. He didn't care about his status at all, but then he stared at Du Xiaofu and said, "Brat, did you just say that you obtained the Qianyang subduing dragon art?" "That's right." Du Xiaofu nodded. The Qianyang subduing dragon art was indeed in his possession. "You were able to open the Qianyang subduing dragon art. Are you sure you haven't practiced any Hehuan School's cultivation methods?" The yellow-haired middle-aged man became more and more puzzled. He curiously sized up Du Xiaofu. "I've already opened it, and I haven't practiced any Hehuan School's cultivation methods." Du Xiaofu nodded. "Impossible. This is absolutely impossible. If you're not a disciple of Hehuan School, it's impossible for you to open the Qianyang subduing dragon art." The yellow-haired middle-aged man said with certainty, "I set up a restriction on it. As long as you're not a disciple of Hehuan School, it's impossible for you to obtain the cultivation methods inside by force. It will only self-destruct." "You were the one who placed the Qianyang subduing dragon art?" Du Xiaofu's gaze trembled. From his tone, the Qianyang subduing dragon art seemed to have been placed by the yellow-haired middle-aged man in front of him. "That's right." The remaining 2 updates will probably be done very late. It might even be after midnight. Brothers, please forgive us. Today's update won't be short. It will be very late. Tomorrow's update won't be short either. As for the update time, I apologize. Chapter 1204. Su Muxin, Tang Meiling and Jijian, who had entered the desolate ancient space to heal, did not spend much time there. The 3 girls appeared, their eyes filled with confusion. They immediately noticed the yellow-haired middle-aged man and the middle-aged woman, and their eyes filled with surprise. "You are Hehuan School's disciples?" The middle-aged woman looked at the 3 girls, her eyes vast, as if she could see through them with a single glance. The 3 girls looked puzzled. Su Muxin looked at the yellow-haired middle-aged man and the middle-aged woman, her dewy clear eyes rippling, as if she had sensed a familiar aura. Disciple Su Muxin, Hehuan School's 76th headmaster, greets the 2 seniors. "May I know your names?" Suddenly, Su Muxin bowed respectfully, as if confirming something. Hearing this, Tang Meiling and Jijian's expressions also changed, and they immediately bowed as well. "Rise. We have been here for a long time. I wonder if the younger generation still remembers who placed the earth-shattering thunder in the Manchu?" The middle-aged woman waved her hand, indicating for Su Muxin, Tang Meiling, and Jijian to rise. The seniors who suppressed and sealed the earth-shattering thunder in the Manchu were Hehuan School's 36th headmaster and headmaster. They are known as the Crazed Dream Region Masters outside. Suddenly, Su Muxin's clear eyes trembled again, and her seductive aura rippled. She looked at the middle-aged woman and the yellow-haired middle-aged man, and said, "The seniors are the 36th headmaster and headmaster, Rumming Region Master, and Crazed Region Master?" 36th headmaster. Tang Meiling was stunned. Her eyes trembled, and her eyes glazed over. The 36th headmaster and headmaster of Hehuan School were us back then. The middle-aged woman nodded and looked Su Muxin up and down. She said softly, "Martial arts and talisman skills are both cultivated, and you have also cultivated the Kun-in tiger subduing technique. You have a natural disposition. Suddenly, the middle-aged woman seemed to have discovered something. Her figure flashed and appeared in front of Su Mushin like a ghost. Several hand seals condensed and a faint light enveloped Su Mushin. She said, "You're no longer a virgin?" Su Mushin bit her lips and glanced at Du Xiaofu from the corner of her eyes. She nodded at the dreamlike domain lord and softly said, "Yes, you should know that those who cultivate the Kun-in tiger taming technique must maintain their virginity, unless..." The dreamlike domain lord suddenly glanced at Du Xiaofu. Her eyes moved slightly as if she was prying at something, causing Du Xiaofu to feel inexplicably flustered. For some reason, he felt like a child who had made a mistake and did not dare to look straight at her. "No wonder you were able to unlock the Qianyang dragon subduing technique even though you're not a Hehuan school disciple. So that's why..." The dreamlike domain lord's expression suddenly became enlightened. She softly said, "In that case, the problem isn't that big. Unlock the Qianyang dragon subduing technique." Domain Lord Ru Kuang rubbed the back of his head and looked at Du Xiaofu in surprise. "So you've already taken advantage of her?" After speaking for a long time, Domain Lord Ru Kuang sighed and stared at Du Xiaofu in a rather strange manner. "What's wrong with me?" Du Xiaofu's face was blank. He had no idea what had happened. "Brat, are you still pretending to be innocent after taking advantage of her?" Domain Lord Ru Kuang glared at Du Xiaofu. Su Mushin's delicate face secretly changed color when she heard Domain Lord Ru Kuang's words. She bit her red lips and said, "Ancestor Ru Kuang was trapped in an illusion for some reason, so some people don't know what happened." "I see." Only then did Domain Lord Ru Kuang's gaze move away from Du Xiaofu and look at Su Mushin, Tang Meiling and Ji Jian. She said, "I already have a rough understanding of the Hehuan school's situation. Come with me and tell me in detail about the Hehuan school's current situation." As her voice fell, Domain Lord Ru Kuang's figure had already drifted into the distance. Profound energy gushed out from Su Mushin's feet as her beautiful figure drifted into the distance. Cough. For some reason, Domain Lord Ru Kuang suddenly coughed. He looked at Du Xiaofu, who was looking at Domain Lord Ru Kuang and Su Mushin, and said with interest, "They want to talk about the Hehuan school. It has nothing to do with us." "I still don't know your name, brat." Replying to Senior, "This brat is Du Xiaofu." Du Xiaofu replied. He had a good impression of Domain Lord Ru Kuang in front of him. From his aura and name, he could be sure that this was a martial domain realm cultivator who was currently stronger than his master, Xiahou Feng Lei, and his fifth martial uncle, GMO. What, Senior? Cultivators take precedence. Brat, you are young and have extraordinary talent. Sooner or later, you will surpass me. If you are polite, you can call me Brother Kuang." Domain Lord Ru Kuang laughed wildly. "Brother Kuang." Hearing Domain Lord Ru Kuang's words, Tang Meiling collapsed on the side. If Du Xiaofu and the 36th supervisor of the Hehuan school called each other brothers, then all the disciples of the Hehuan school would become his juniors. In the future, she would have to salute this brat in front of her. "Greetings, Brother Kuang." Who was Du Xiaofu? How could he not take advantage of a good thing? Domain Lord Ru Kuang in front of him was older than his big brother, Zhen Qingchun. At present, he was still a strong existence. It was polite to call each other brothers, not to mention that this was something that he could take advantage of. Chapter 1205. Tang Meiling was taken aback, her gaze involuntarily landing on the tall young man in front of her. She snapped out of her daze and glared at Ji Jian. "Little girl, you dare to tease your martial uncle? I'll teach you a lesson." "If martial uncle wants to teach you a lesson, then go ahead. As long as martial uncle doesn't want to cover it up because I hit the nail on the head. If that's the case, I'll accept it. At most, I'll help you talk to Brother Dabai." Ji Jian pretended to be wronged and sighed softly. "You little girl, I can't be bothered with you. When the time comes, I'll ask your master to teach you a lesson." Tang Meiling was taken aback and simply ignored Ji Jian. Ji Jian smiled inwardly and didn't say anything else. She waited silently at the side, watching Du Xiaofu and Area Master Ru Kuang spar in the air. Not long after, about an hour later, Area Master Ru Meng and Su Muxin returned. Su Muxin stood quietly beside Area Master Ru Meng, her eyes slightly lowered. Her graceful curves were moving. You two can spar later. There's no rush. Domain Lord Ru Meng looked at the two figures in front of her, who were causing lightning and thunder to rumble. Her eyes were filled with shock. With Du Xiaofu's current cultivation level, he could spar with Area Master Ru Kuang. Naturally, Area Master Ru Meng could see that Du Xiaofu had a deep understanding of lightning, so she was even more surprised. Rumble. In the sky before them, lightning flashed and thunder rumbled. The two were wrapped in lightning runes, and dazzling arcs of lightning filled the air. Then they fell at the same time. Ah boy, you're really extraordinary. You've exceeded my expectations. Area Master Ru Kuang laughed. His yellow hair danced like yellow arcs of lightning. Then his aura slowly withdrew, wild and unruly. Du Xiaofu restrained his aura and the faint lightning in his clear eyes. With some gratitude, he said to Ru Kuang, "Thank you, big brother Ru Kuang." Du Xiaofu knew very well that Domain Master Kuang's strength was far above his. Although he already had 3 kinds of spiritual thunder, 2 of which were integrated in his body, and the Thunder Martial Vein, it did not mean that his comprehension of Thunder Divine Sense was better than Domain Master Kuang's. On the contrary, his comprehension of Thunder Divine Sense was far worse than Domain Master Kuang's. It has nothing to do with me. It's your own strong perception. Ru Kuang shook his head and smiled at Du Xiaofu with satisfaction. All right, you two can continue to spar in the future. Rumming Domain Lord looked at Ru Kuang Domain Lord and said, although we don't need to interfere with the matters of the younger generation of Hehuan School, the current situation and strength of Hehuan School are getting worse and worse. We have no choice but to interfere. There are also several magical methods in the Kuan-Yang dragon taming art that are extremely mysterious, especially the Mad Dragon 9 Heavens. It can increase your strength a lot in a short time. It's a must for escaping and a trump card to deal with cultivators of the same level. At the end, Domain Lord Ru Kuang's saliva was already splashing. Du Xiaofu kept feeling that something was wrong, but he also knew that the Kuan-Yang dragon taming art was indeed extraordinary. It was at the peak of the high earth rank. After combining with the Kuan-Yin tiger taming art, it would be a true heaven rank cultivation method. However, there was no doubt that Du Xiaofu was also tempted. Especially as Domain Lord Ru Kuang said, the Mad Dragon 9 Heavens in the Kuan-Yang dragon taming art. 5 days later, you will also need to take action. With your current cultivation, you won't be able to help much at that time, unless you cultivate the Kuan-Yang dragon taming art. Domain Lord Rumming said to Du Xiaofu, I heard that you are also involved in this matter, so you can't shirk your responsibility. Those people won't let you escape so easily. Anyway, we won't interfere, so you have no other choice. All right. Du Xiaofu nodded, and could only agree to cultivate the Kuan-Yang dragon taming art. As Du Xiaofu nodded his head in agreement, Domain Lord Rumming and Domain Lord Ru Kuang both secretly revealed a trace of a smile in their eyes. Su Muxin's eyes slightly trembled, and then turned into ripples. She lowered her eyes even more, and the expression in her eyes was somewhat complicated. Her soul-stirring beautiful face also had a bit of redness. A moment later, the 6 of them all entered the desolate ancient space. The Kuan-Yang dragon taming art is a cultivation method within the Qiankuan dragon tiger art, and is a dual cultivation method. Dual cultivation methods naturally have 3 grades: high, middle, and low. The low grade is to gather yin to nourish yang, and gather yang to nourish yin. However, the people of the world are greedy for pleasure, and instead call it plucking to nourish yin. The middle grade dual cultivation method is to cultivate one's heart, cultivate one's nature, refine one's essence, refine one's life, refine one's spirit, refine one's spirit, refine one's spirit back to the void, refine one's own foundation, eliminate all distracting thoughts, and grow together. The Kuan-Yang dragon taming art is the best dual cultivation method. It can achieve 1,000 miles of spiritual connection and 10,000 miles of telepathy. It is not a matter of gathering yin to nourish yang. Gathering the qi of heaven and earth to nourish my qi, gathering the essence of heaven and earth to nourish my essence, and gathering the spirit of heaven and earth to nourish my spirit. Because of the transformation of heaven and earth, I was created. Because of the fate of heaven and earth, I continued my life. Chapter 1206. Hahuan School's new schoolmaster took office, and all the major powers in Shang Prefecture came. This caused the entire city to be shaken. Although Hahuan School was powerful, it was also a veteran power with deep roots. However, if it weren't for the major powers coming, Hahuan School wouldn't have attracted as much attention as it did now. Time passed amidst this commotion, and the major powers had already started attending Hahuan School. In the blink of an eye, when the sun was setting in the west, there was only one night left before the new sect leader of the He-Huan sect took office. Hahuan School. A quiet courtyard sat on top of a mountain peak. Outside the courtyard, several figures swept their gazes across the brightly lit buildings on the mountain peaks in all directions. In the lead was an extraordinary young man of about 25 or 26 years old. Under the night sky, his body was surrounded by simple and elegant runes. He was extraordinarily handsome, and his robes were embroidered with sword patterns. He muttered softly, "Hahuan School has undergone a major change. Back then, they said that Du Xiaofu had already fled Hahuan School. I'm afraid that wasn't the truth, but it's a pity that we haven't been able to find any evidence. Young schoolmaster, we don't have to get too involved in Hahuan School's matters. Hahuan School has been around for quite some time, and this time, it won't be long before the Evil Purifying Alliance is formed. The Hahuan School is also part of it, and it can be considered a gathering of the Evil Purifying Alliance. That's why we came here to give face to Hahuan School." An old man stood quietly behind the extraordinary young man. His figure was faintly discernible under the night sky, and his aura was very vigorous. "As long as they aren't telling the truth, I'll find evidence one day." The extraordinary young man looked at the night sky. A few stars were already faintly discernible. He muttered softly, "I have a feeling that tomorrow won't be too peaceful." Hahuan School. The main hall was decorated with lanterns and colored banners. Red lights flickered, exuding a joyous atmosphere. Tomorrow is the day you become the suzerain of Hahuan School. However, we don't know whether Su Mushin is dead or alive. There are still some loose ends that have yet to be settled. Now that all the major powers are here, it's easy for new problems to arise. In the main hall, Jing Anteo whispered to Zhao Lu. "Su Mushin is dead for sure. No one who enters the forbidden area can come out. Those elders are stubborn and wholeheartedly support Su Mushin. If we kill them all, I'm afraid many people will have other thoughts. Su Mushin also has some reputation outside. When I take office tomorrow, I will tell the outside world that there is no Su Mushin in the Hahuan School." It's not like I haven't broken through the Hahuan School before. Du Xiaofu raised his eyebrows. Although he knew that Su Mushin was trying to provoke him, it seemed that he was really provoked. However, now that his cultivation had increased greatly, and with the appearance of the two domain lords, Du Xiaofu was no longer afraid of anything. At least, he didn't need to be afraid of anyone below the martial domain realm. Just delay them for a while. I'll catch up with them later. I'm afraid that they'll be tempted by the treasures on you. Don't lose your life when the time comes. Su Mushin's bewitching eyes narrowed slightly. Her tone was still indifferent, neither fast nor slow. Du Xiaofu faintly smiled and said, "You chased after me to kill me, and now you're worried about my life. Are all women so strange?" Hearing this, Ji Jian and Tang Meiling immediately frowned. Their eyes flickered, as if they didn't expect that Du Xiaofu would dare to tease Shang Zhou's Su Mushin. Su Mushin's expression didn't change at Du Xiaofu's words. Her eyes didn't fluctuate either. She looked at Du Xiaofu and said, "If you die, it has nothing to do with me. You'll know once you try." This, Du Xiaofu was stunned. He could only helplessly look at Su Mushin. He stood with his hands behind his back and said, "It's about time. I'll go out first. I'll definitely keep my life well. The Hahuan School won't be able to take it away." As his voice fell, Du Xiaofu's figure slowly appeared in front of them. He formed a seal with his hands, And suddenly, a bright yellow electric arc surged out from his body. Walala! All of a sudden, electric arcs flickered in the space of the deep pit. Lightning flashed and thunder roared. Waves of berserk and bright electric arcs swept towards Du Xiaofu with the momentum of toppling mountains and overturning seas. In the end, like a miracle, the surging bright yellow electric arcs surged into Du Xiaofu's body as if they had turned into nothingness. This little bastard is too abnormal. He really merged with the heavenly earth thunder. Tang Meiling couldn't help but reveal a shocked expression. The terrifying heavenly earth thunder that had merged with one's body contained a terrifying amount of energy. "I'm leaving. You guys be careful." As Du Xiaofu's voice fell, faint electric arcs fluctuated on his body, and his figure disappeared. Within the deep pit. As she watched the tall and straight figure gradually disappear, the calm expression on Su Muxin's face slowly disappeared. Her delicate hands clenched slightly under her sleeves, and the light in her eyes swayed a little. It was like a stone that had been thrown into a calm lake. "Let's go. There are some things that need to be settled today." As her gentle voice sounded out, it revealed a faint chill. A trace of coldness flashed across Su Muxin's clear eyes. Hawan School. When the darkness before dawn passed, the entire Hawan School began to bustle with noise and excitement.